That's how I envision everyone is listening to this. They sit in front of their computer and they turn it on, the radio or part of it, or whatever, the stereo part of it, and then they just sit there quietly listening to us talk about gun stuff. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Ask Gun Questions. We go live on Saturdays and answer questions that come in to askgunquestions.com or that come in during a live conversation here. It looks like we had some kind of spam or something going on. I don't get comments on this system until it goes live. So I'm guessing Tony can see all that weird stuff in there now. So I don't know what to call that. That's just somebody in another language saying stuff. So is that like, I don't know if that's spam. I don't know what to call that. It's like just misunderstandings or something. I don't know what to call that. But thanks to moderators who help clean that stuff up. And looks like we do have some people joining us today. Something happened and I'm not seeing the actual comments. So hopefully we'll see some actual comments show up over here. But like I say, we answer questions that come into the website and people that ask questions live. I don't think we missed any last week that were live, but if we did, or if you had something that we should have addressed or something, feel free to bring that up as well. I didn't connect it to Instagram because I wasn't paying attention, but at least I see Tony's comment there. So I think what happened is all those spam comments or whatever they are glitched it out because I only see yours as the most recent. So I can't bring up the other folks that are joining us, Mike White's out there, Krabby Turtle's out there. And if you want to be part of the show, feel free to comment. It's all about the interactive nature. You guys do the Tuesday show live, so you get some interactivity there, but then you also bring up comments that come into, I guess, the videos and the blogs and stuff.
Yeah, wherever we find them, we post those up too, and they're all over the place. They're on each of the apps. Have Most of the apps have a comment section where you can download the podcast, and every now and again you check those and go, "Oh man, somebody commented a year ago."
Right,
It's
because you
like,
don't get very many, and it's like kind of complicated to check them usually.
yeah, because I haven't been on my Spreaker account in a really long time, and it's like, yeah, check Spreaker, check this, check that. I mean, it's not a pain in the butt or anything. It's just like, oh yeah, I haven't checked comments.
Well, it's more of for me at least. It's since it happens so sporadically that you just get out of the habit of checking because it's been maybe weeks and weeks and you haven't seen a comment, so you don't. And then, like you say, go back 2 months later and there was a couple of comments, and you're like, oh dang. So you put it back in your routine or whatever, and like maybe some other platform is rocking, so you spend in 6 or 8 comments a day over here, and this one gets one comment a week or one comment a month even. It's just going to end up getting kind of neglected. And again, it's not because it's complicated as much as it's you only got so much time to do this each day. And these platforms come and go. If we think, we've talked about a bunch of times like how many people in the gun community or in the industry come and go, but how many platforms have come and go. I mean, YouTube and Facebook has kind of been around for a while. But before that, we always used to make fun of MySpace. It was a pretty big one that came and went. And I mean, so many have come and gone since. I would say Instagram has come and gone. I mean, Instagram's still here technically, but even Facebook, who bought it, moved on to Threads. Like, they don't use Instagram as a primary something to hold up as one of their prime things anymore.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's like, oh, you're gonna go to Threads. You're gonna go. I'm like, let's see if it sticks around, man. I mean, how many other things have we done and then they disappeared after a couple of years, or they never really like? Dang, I forgot what the other one was that Trump went to
Truth.
after he got kicked. Yeah,
There
Truth
was other
Social.
ones though. There was something before that that got shut down that he made that for, and oh man. But anyway, and then locals, those kind of things, which I like the idea. I like the concept, but I was going to add not just how long are they going to last, but nowadays, especially after what you've just talked about with the political stuff being like a factor to it, because political stuff is literally shut down, right? Like they will shut down political talk, they'll shut down gun talk, they'll shut down, I'm sure, other topics that I just don't pay attention to are also harassed to some extent. So I always look at when a platform starts up, who's going to join it? Like, what's that called? Like the culture going to be? Is it going to be like Reddit? Reddit's probably fine. I like the concept of it and stuff, but I don't want to hang out in Reddit. Those people are angry and mean, real sarcastic, and unless you are real abrasive, I don't think Reddit is very enjoyable. And then some of the other platforms that were anonymous were really tough to deal with. But anyway, so like I think the new one is Rumble. Is unless you're doing political stuff, are you really going to be successful on Rumble? Question mark. Because I've seen people say they're successful over there, but when you go look, they're successful at saying the sky's falling or that kind of stuff, or real
And what's
political.
successful?
Yeah, that's true too.
What,
Just a bunch of subs or just a bunch of people saying, "Yeah, I agree."
yeah, I mean, it's like, am I, because, a lot of people put on how many subscribers you have. And I'm like, what does that mean when certain people or a lot of people buy subscribers? So I'm like, what does that even mean?
Well, that's true, but it's also, let's say you're pro blue, which is a good place to be because blue's a good color. So you're pro
Hmm.
blue, and then a bunch of red people are going to follow you because they want to see what you're doing because they want to copy off you. So are they even really subscribers? You know what I mean? Like, are they supporters? I guess I should say, because they're team red or whatever. And you know what I mean. So I think that that's another indication or another reason subscriber count isn't necessarily an indication of people that are uh, advocates of your position. And
They're
then
not
there's things
only not advocates of your position. What about they follow you just to trash you?
those are
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm sure the Giffords, and I just reposted. I don't repost their garbage. I screenshot it because they're engagement farming. I'm like, most of their following is probably anti-gun. I mean, excuse me, pro-gun people, just trashing every stupid hyperbole post they put up. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving them this. Screw them. They could be homeless, live in a cardboard box, and eat cans of beans the rest of their life before I ever repost their crap.
That's a
I'll
great point. The
screenshot it.
internet is just a mechanism. It's just a complicated machine. And it might seem really
Hmm.
complex and like there's a lot going on. And it's difficult to manipulate it, but it is possible to be manipulated. And the recipe isn't difficult. It's just, it's like the recipe for biscuits or something. It's probably, same thing for everybody, flour and baking soda, whatever it is. But, some people just know how to, they have the knack for understanding what the ingredients need that day under those circumstances or something. They built, they baked enough biscuits. So there's people that understand how the internet works. And like you say, that's actually a genius move. They'll go out there and they'll just say something dumb. They'll just stick their thumb up to their nose to people who they understand through history are going to repost their stuff, and they get a massive reach without having to really pay for it, with any actual funds, for very little. And uh, and that's unfortunate because we can learn a lesson from that and do the opposite, just as easy as just do the opposite in our direction. But just that concept of uh, playing the system, manipulating the people that are uh, not paying attention, that are quick to pull to fall for the trap, I guess. At least I think that's the way they're doing it. They've done it too long, too often, too repetitively for it to be like an accident. You don't do the same accident over and over and over. You might have tripped into it the first
Yeah.
time on accident, but then you figured out the routine and you're dance. Now it's a dance. You're playing that game.
Hmm. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
answers the
these
question.
people were funding. Yeah, these people are funding themselves off of their anti-gun, their ridiculousness.
And it's a sweet game because I mean, I guess let's pick something less emotionally interesting to us or important to us, like motorcycles or something. If you just went out there and kept saying motorcycles are only used by the evil people, like only evil people use motorcycles, then everybody who's not an evil person who likes motorcycles has some impulse to say something about that. And you're going to catch everybody, especially if you first start doing it, you're going to catch everybody. And then, all you have to do is keep doing it for any length of time. And eventually motorcyclists are going to figure out that you're just a jerk. Like that's your scam. But
Hmm.
every new generation of motorcyclists is going to be potentially going to fall for it. And every once in a while, you're going to get those motorcyclists who've been watching your scam come back and just rage against it or warn people about it, right? Like that's just going to keep happening. Like it's just, you can, as long as the bad person just keeps saying motorcyclists are evil, the motorcyclists are just going to always have to deal with it until they figure out some way to mock it or make fun of it or deal with it in a way that makes them useless, right? Their efforts useless. And hopefully that effort shows anybody who'd want to do that strategy again that, oh, this culture or this community is able to adapt and not pay attention to this, like that doesn't bother them anymore. We haven't gotten to that point yet. We have gotten to it, technically, I'm sure, like in the industry, when somebody brings a stupid smart gun to the table, do any of us jump and run onto that? Oh, no, let's all play with the smart gun. Like, no, there's like 6 or 8 people that'll go, oh, a smart gun might be a good idea, or let's give them the benefit of the doubt. The rest of the world, it's like, nah, we don't need that. Thanks for bringing something to the table we don't want, but no thanks.
Hmm.
And, we can do that. We can align without thinking about it for that. Like, but how do we take that and use it for some of these other things? I'm going off on a tangent, I guess. New York Outcast is out there. Welcome from New York. We don't get a lot of people from the East. We get a lot of people joining these live chats from the Midwest and the West. But always glad to see people from the East. Krabby Turtles out there from the East as well. And would you consider Ohio East or Midwest? Everything this side of the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, is Midwest.
I'm thinking that. I mean, it has to be a cutoff. I think Ohioans consider themselves Midwesterners.
I think so too, even though I would consider it super East. But I guess I haven't paid attention to where that boundary is. Like Pennsylvania, I would consider
Yeah,
that
that's where.
Midwest, but I guess it's East.
No, well,
It's East.
Pennsylvania's so long that depends on what part of it. I mean,
Well,
I
exactly.
consider it East Coast, but it's like, yeah, if you're in Philly, it's definitely East Coast. If you're in Pittsburgh, it's Midwest.
Right, exactly. And there, like I said, that's a huge state, though. Singularly huge,
Yeah, I
isn't it?
mean,
Or maybe Tennessee
yeah,
could
there's
even be kind of like that. Memphis would be Midwest for sure. But
man, there's a 5 hour difference between sitting here chilling in Fairless Hills, PA, and then going to Harrisburg. There's
it's
five
5 hours.
hours in the vehicle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And are there mountains in there, or Pennsylvania's north of all the mountains?
Oh no, I mean, do you consider them mountains or just big ass hills? But yeah, you're driving up and down. Trust me,
Okay.
you're losing you're losing your signal on the phone a couple of times because I've done podcasts during that drive.
All right. Maybe we went off another tangent. But New York Outcast says if money or brand wasn't an issue, what handgun, rifle, shotgun would you pick? It's like a combo, you mean? Handgun, rifle, shotgun combo? So I'm guessing, is this like adult uh, person who decides, hey, I'm going to get into guns and I'm going to go ahead and buy what I've been told is a trifecta: a handgun, a rifle, and a shotgun.
Hmm.
I'm going to personally tell people to pass on the shotgun, but I'm just anti shotgun. But I'll still play along. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that on there, but I'm assuming that would be the kind of person who could pick anything they want without brand or money being an issue. Um, or maybe just somebody that wins the lottery, I guess, also.
Okay, so for shotgun, I'll go with Benelli M4 because that's what people, that's the standard that people compare semi-automatic shotguns to. Let's quit bullcrapping. It's like, oh, the Beretta 1301 is almost like a, Benelli. Like everything is almost like a Benelli when it comes to semi-automatic shotguns. And there are a lot of people getting into firearms right now that are those people that are financially secure and can just buy, the best, and they don't have to like dance around or make a compromise. So yeah, I'll do the Benelli M4 for that. Um, Rifle, you go with an AR, right? I mean, that's really what everybody does. For training purposes, recoil, the fact that it can reach out most distances that people need. And if you're buying for what most people do, run classes and do self defense, AR-15 is fine. It's just what brand of AR-15 do you buy, and when is it just you're just paying for a brand name? You know what I mean? Uh, because what do you just go with the expensive ones? HK 416 because it's upper end, and this is what the Marine Corps pretty much switched over to, and other militaries have too. I think that's a good.
Piston driven, right? Strong.
Mhm. I mean, it's built to a standard. It kicks butt. You can make it look just like the military clone, uh, and put everything on it like the military does, or do you go? Because again, if money is no object, but now you got this heavy ass thing, and is it that much better than anything else? But yeah, all right, let's just go. Either that or a knight's armament, because again, money's no object. But meanwhile, if I use common sense, I'd be back down to something like a Sons of Liberty in a price range that kind of makes sense.
And then handgun or
Uh,
handgun.
Handgun. Now the handgun gets real weird. Um, Mainly because I'm not going with any of the 2011 stuff because that's ridiculous. Most of them are really expensive, and because they're race guns, they're handmade. I've never seen a long-term durability study with any expensive 1911 or 2011 yet. I've not seen anyone do a 5,000 round test on it. So I would go with something already, in the pipeline for militaries and law enforcement that has a long, so it's not going to be as expensive. Mm, I don't know. Might be something like a CZ, maybe an HK. Yeah, because the CZ is a P01 and P07 were actually adopted by NATO, so they passed those NATO standards. So it'll be something like that. Probably the CZP07, CZP09. They have magazines that are affordable. They have a track record that's long. They have accessories out to yin yang. They have holsters from everyone. You can upgrade them. So yeah, some of the hammer fired CZs I think is the way to go. I mean, any of them really. Glock is fine, but again, if money's no object, I don't have to go with the best bang for the buck. I can go with the best bang. Something else is like, was it the Beretta M9A4? Again, solid reputation, long term durability. Even though the A4 hasn't been issued, it has that legacy. And it was also what was put in for the military trials, so it could pass those. So, mine wouldn't really
Are you
be
gonna put
that
this
sexy when it comes to
Are you putting
what
this
was that?
mailbox? You putting this mailbox on it like this one?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If I'm going to go retard, I mean, I'm going to go special needs. Notice how you can change it to say the same thing. Yeah, I'll put the giant high overboard mailbox on top of it too. Because if it sucks, I can always take it off. That's one of the things I'm going to be working on is learning to run a red dot because it is. I think it is the future. I like what I have now on my Glock, which is Triclops sights, which is what they call an analog red dot, which is just high vis sights, but is like a high vis front sight and then a high vis rear sight too. Look it up; it's pretty cool. I've been running it for over 18 months. I've competed with it. It really works. But And I'm still going to tell people to get it because I really think it works for someone with stigmatism like myself. But the red dot is a thing that a lot of people use. And as a firearms instructor and a defensive instructor, and just doing what I do, I think it's important for me to at least know how to run the dang
So Wood said a Mossberg 940,
thing. Mm-hmm.
so a semi-auto. You had a, you had a semi-auto also.
Yep.
You just had a really expensive. Is this? Are they both inertia?
I know that is inertia now. I don't. Is the?
So I thought all the
I don't know.
Benellis were inertia. I might just
Yeah,
make
because
it up.
there's inertia because what you call it ran out. That's why there's so many Benelli clones now. The what do you call that? Patent.
Oh, the patent ran out. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it was also like coveted. Like everybody wanted it, but nobody could afford it, and nobody else could make it. I guess so. That was why
Mm-hmm.
everybody wanted it, type of thing. So is this a rifle he went with? A Marlin 4570? Everybody
Mm.
loves side gates. Um,
Everybody.
there's not a good picture. I guess I'll look this one.
Which one? Oh, okay. The stainless.
Yeah, there's not really a good picture of just one on a background. I guess this is a better picture. And then
Yeah.
he said
So
Ruger GP100. But
GP 100 is a solid pistol. Again, if money's no object, this has a very solid background.
they're okay. They're just big and heavy.
Yeah, they're big and heavy. What's the word? They're cast, but they're solid and they have a really good record. Ruger just started remaking Marlin 4570s and putting them out, which is cool. At least we didn't lose that. It's an American manufacturer that might not be shut down anytime soon. Because I've been looking at this and I've been posting videos and pictures up of other hammer fired double stack 9 millimeters because I am so tired of everyone acting as if cutting edge is a 2011. One part of it annoys the hell out of me because we've been around long enough for people to just start pooping on a 1911 for being old and antiquated. But if you put a freaking cartridge in that's older than the 1911 and just make the 1911 double stack, all of a sudden it's cutting edge. I'm like, man, you people fall for the same market as every other industry.
So I'm going to go with the AMT long sight
Nice.
with the laser on it, of course, and AR-180, the best compromise between the AK and the AR. So it uses the
Mm-hmm.
AR mags with 5.56. It has
Mm-hmm.
stamped receivers, so the lower and the upper are stamped on the real ones. So like an AK, they can be made quickly and replaced instead of fixed. And because they have forward recoil springs up underneath here, which doesn't really help out if you started getting into the future when they started making things shorter. You'd have to really mess with this probably. But that allowed them to cut it off right here. So you could even take the stock off completely on this gun, but
Mm-hmm.
you could definitely fold it, carry it around with just the pistol grip, which was the style of the time. So if I went with this gun and this gun, I think obviously shotgun is going to be the Spaz 12.
A5 Auto 5. Oh, Spots 12. All right.
Plus 12. And again, the
Hey,
stock could be taken off of this one. It could be carried around. Is there going to be a good picture of Response 12? Come on. There's not. So we'll have to go with this picture with no stock.
there
It
you
looks
go.
like
Yeah.
there's got to be a picture with the stock. This is with the stock up. Here it is with the stock. So the stock had this weird hook on it that you could flip around the other way, and it was the first piece because you could put it on
Mm-hmm.
sideways and carry it around because they knew that shit, sometimes you had to do shit like that. So you could also take that hook off. See how it comes off over here? And then when you take it off, it just folds up on top like this. That's a goofy picture because it doesn't show the whole front end of the gun. But Spaz was an awesome gun because you could, and I don't even know how to describe it. I literally owned one and I could still not tell you how you do it because you have to do this little dance with your fingers. But you can
The
flip
semi-auto, the pump.
Yeah, you can flip sort of like a little lever somewhere or do something, and then I think it was on a button under here, and then you could switch it from. It would be semi-auto, but now if you had some kind of malfunction, boom, you're just pumping it through. Because the major problem with
Hmm.
semi-autos is when they malfunction, they're goofy, and they're all different manuals of arms, and none of them are smooth. Here's the guy carrying it as a brace. This is the original brace, literally, the Spaz 12. And everybody wonders what that hook is all about. And I guess technically you could carry from it. Like if you really were like weird, you could carry it, but because it looked like this when you carried it. But it was really
Well, I
yeah.
mean, if we're just gonna do '80s, excuse me, some of the coolest, what was it, guns with all the drip, and that's how you want to get into it. Yeah, all right, then let's jump back in. I want either the Remington Model 11 for a shotgun or the Auto 5 for a shotgun with the extension that they used in Rhodesia. Uh, that's what I want for my semi-automatic shotgun. I want a Sig, the original Sig Sauer P10, that was actually issued to their military as the most expensive handgun in the world. And for a rifle, I want a Stoner 63.
Oh snap! Yeah, that's a big one. So you don't know what those guns that I just did there? My three guns are.
Oh
Stoner.
yeah,
Maybe
63.
it's,
Yeah, I know your
maybe,
three guns. Yeah,
maybe people are too old or too young for to know what
too
those three
young
guns.
to know.
I never even wait. Did I even? I don't know if I've ever even fiddled with a Stoner 63. So I'm sure I've seen them in museums, but I've never.
Hmm.
If I haven't personally fiddled with it, at least I'm assuming this is with everybody. But if I
Hmm.
haven't personally fiddled with it, I have a different understanding of the gun. Like the guns that, especially the guns like I've taken apart and like I've owned, right? So
Hmm.
this one, all I've ever seen is pictures or like from afar, like through glass or something. You ever played with this one or
Yeah,
anything?
never played with it. Always freaking stayed in museums and licked the glass like a psycho. Um, I'm sure this is the look other people have on their face when they go to strip clubs is what I have on my face when I look at a Stoner 63. Especially, you can flip it over, you can make it belt fed, you can have it be a a compact rifle, full length rifle, carbine size, like the thing. You can just flip it, spin it, rub it down. Oh no! So that's what I do.
Yeah, that's neat.
I mean, you can use that in so many ways, dude. Um, the hardballer was cool too. I mean, all of them are cool. Guns are fun to us. That's why we're here yammering to each other every week about almost every aspect of firearms. Yeah, there you go. That's kind of the picture that kind of says it all.
Yeah, these Japanese, I think they were made for people making models. So if you were going to be painting your models, you could paint them accurate. Or if you were
Mm,
making images, like if you're creating images, you would have accurate images of the accessories or gear that was true to whatever the model or the country and that kind of stuff, the camouflage sometimes. So a lot of these pictures you see
okay.
are from Japanese, well, at least from my experience, are from Japanese. I don't know what to call them. They're like photo books. And I can't read Japanese. I've got the translations on the AK ones. And they're basically just like, this is the gun, this is the gun, this is its weight, this is its length. Like, it's not a lot of exposition. It's just, here's the facts, here's what they look like, and amazing, amazing detail.
Yeah, Japan taught me these guys are psychos when it comes to firearms, man. They love them because they can't have them. So they love the detail of it as a culture. You know what I mean? That I saw when I lived there in just a regular store. It wasn't even like I went to an airsoft store. I went to a store with a toy section, and it's just the realness of it, of their guns. It's not just some generic, gun shaped object. Gotta love woods, dude.
So the Cerbus, I have a different, because I know multiple people with Cerbus, so I've shot Cerbus constantly. Like I shot a lot of. I mean, when you first get one, you shoot the shit out of it, and then after a while,
Hmm.
it's like, oh, I'll bring the Cerbu. because it doesn't weigh nothing. It's just there. So they're neat and everything for sure. But
Hmm.
once you shoot them a bunch of times, they're like any little
Hmm.
whatever, they've got their use. If you were a door breacher or something, you'd be using it more, I guess, or have a reason to use it.
Well, a lot of these guns are stuff we dig in memory. Like, who was I watching? Carl from In Range. He was running a Tommy gun from Car Arms. You know what I mean? From Thompson, a modern one. And people are like, "Oh, I love the Tommy gun." And I'm like, "The Tommy gun is freaking hot garbage, first generation submachine gun." And then you have to have the civilian neutered version with a 16-inch barrel and a closed bolt. And even he went into it talking about how it's not dependable as is for like 22 to $2,400. A lot of these guns are stuff we like because they were in movies, TV, and they hold nostalgia for us or got us interested as a kid. But real life is a whole different animal. Like the gun list that you gave and the gun list that I gave, the second time, almost everything modern is an improvement on all of those guns.
Yeah, it's like the Thompson is like having a Model T Ford or something. Maybe like
Hmm.
maybe like a '57 Chevy is a better act because it's not like the original gun or anything. But it was like once they figured out how to make guns and they came out with hot rods, it's like the '57 Chevy. So having a '57 Chevy looks, in theory, it's like, oh yeah, cool or whatever. So you get and sit in one, and they're like, oh yeah, you know what? They didn't have air conditioning back then, and they had
Yep.
shitty gaps and they're loud, and you smell gasoline probably if you have like an original one, and you have to wiggle your arm around to make the window go up and down, and there's shitty radio. So now you get
Hmm.
one, and you go put in a nice radio, and you put in air conditioning, you put on better suspension, you put in a modern engine, and it looks like a '57 Chevy kinda, except that it doesn't growl and shiver or nothing because it's going to meet emission standards, and it's got a, it's calmed down. That's sort of what the guns are like. You get the old ones, and they're kind of rattle traps, and that's what's made them, give them some character. And the new ones are tidied up and nice, and no one takes like the new. How much does a Thompson cost nowadays?
Oh,
$700 or
who?
more. One of these Tommy guns,
I
the
think.
new ones with the long
Oh,
barrel,
Tommy guns. Oh
maybe
yeah,
fifteen
like
hundred.
2,200.
Oh shit. Okay, so nobody's gonna take that gun and drop it. But a bunch of your
Yeah.
old guns that went through war, guess how many times they've been dropped? Like, and they're going to have that character that no one will ever get on a new one. I've taken new guns
Unless.
and taken them out in the back and dropped them into rocks, and you take like stuff and you smash them, you hit them with stuff so that they get all beat up, and people freak out. Like they go, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Because I want my gun to look like it's existed for a little while. I don't like the look of new guns. It looks stupid to me. So if I've got a gun that I'm going to be taking out into the woods or something, I don't really care if it gets all beat up. So I'm going to give it a little bit of extra beat up just so that it doesn't stand out as like a new piece of tool or whatever. Not every time, but I've done that before, and people don't understand. Like, it looks stupid having a brand new tool.
It doesn't bother me at all. I like everything, man. So you want a new gun, get a new gun. I just find it funny when people want to, fling poo. And this goes back to when people want to crap on budget guns. They'll take a budget gun out and do all kinds of crap to it. Haha, this is garbage. I'm like, all right, show me you do this with 416. I know you did it to the Palmetto State Armory and you did it to the Anderson. Now do it to the upper end one, the gun that you spent $3,000 on. That if it fails, your ego's involved because you made a significant, uh, financial decision, bought this thing, and it's breaking your freaking heart to throw it in mud. That's what I want to see.
C&T says should have the certificate soon, but we got the FFL numbers and show up active, or show and we show up active. Oh, we already show up active on the FFL Easy Check. So you got an FFL now? That's pretty cool.
That's nice. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what the guys were actually talking to me about Thursday night because Jersey doesn't recognize. Like, if I got donated guns to the diversity shoot, um, the state makes me take the guns. Like they're Tony's guns. They're not, for the diversity shoot. Like you can't donate it. Now they can be written off because we were having that discussion too. It could be written off as a donation, but I have to take possession of the firearm. You know what I mean? Like it's Tony's gun. Yeah, I'm looking at the auto ordnance or the car firearms Thompsons, and they're between 1,800 and like 3 grand.
Wow. I mean, Thompsons aren't cheap. Last time I was paying attention was years and years ago already. Shit, it was almost 10 years ago that the shop closed down. So it's been a long time since I've hung out at a gun shop or whatever. But even then, like a 50 round drum is more than a gun. Or not more than a Thompson, but more than a regular gun, like more than a Glock or something. And stick mags were. I remember when stick mags were like $5 because nobody wanted Thompson mags. Unless you had a Thompson, what you need a Thompson mag for? Unless you had a magazine
Yeah.
collection or something. So they were nothing. And then everybody started getting these ones from Auto Ordnance or from Car. I don't know. Do you keep
Hmm.
saying Auto Ordnance? I don't know if I should keep saying Auto Ordnance when Car
Yeah.
owns them.
That's all.
But
Well, Carr owns Magnum Research too, and you say Magnum Research, so
I kind of say, well, I kind of do. I was going to say I say Car too, but I think I intentionally do that. I would normally say, yeah, you're right. So anyway, the modern ones, and it's not like they invented the modern ones. They
hmm
just bought the company, and I'm not really bitching because the
hmm
company probably would have gone out of business. It's just that it's
Yep.
annoying that it's not annoying. It's not anyway. It's just a thing that Car
Well,
kept them going or whatever. The Car's a little bit
well, you
weird, I
get
guess. I'll just say it's all.
yeah, Carr's a little bit weird, but I mean, really, aren't we kind of weird? All of
We're
us.
all
I
weird.
mean,
You're
here,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
and they're weird in a way that
So,
well, let's put it this way: 20 years ago, it was like that car's a little bit weird. After 20 years of being advocates, creating the Freedom Festival and more, like so what? They're a little bit weird, exactly. Like they're a little bit weird,
yeah,
and they've proven over and over and over for 20 years, more than tons of other places in the industry, that they're definitely a friend of individual rights.
yep. And I've had conversations with Justin Moon, and he is 100% a Second Amendment advocate. I just need to kick him in the ass and get some guns from him. What do
So
you
I've never
call it?
heard
Yeah,
anyone
the
say anything
magazine.
bad, unless they don't like the guns. Like I've heard of people don't like the guns, but what are you going to do? People,
I
you
could,
know,
I could give a damn about those
yeah.
people. Say I don't care what they boo because I see what they cheer. Auto Ordnance. The magazines for the Tommy gun and stick mags are 76 and $79. $76 for the 20, $79 for the 30, and your wife's kidney for a drum mag. It's like $720 for a 100 round drum mag.
Yeah.
$388 for a 50 round drum mag. And again, if money's no object, I'm going ahead and spending the money and getting a 50 round gold plated drum for 590 because let's do this.
So I luckily was able to play with all my Tom. I got all my Thompson like fiddling in with a guy who had one that bought it a long time ago. He did end up selling it for $25,000, but I'm sure he bought it for
Hmm.
like a few grand whenever he bought it a long, long time ago, and he did not care if we played with it. Like we went out and shot the shit out of it. It was a lot of fun shooting that one. And then I've talked about the guy who does the Marine weapons familiarization. Whenever he brings out his Thompson, he doesn't care what anybody does with it. Marines fucking shoot it, so he knows we're not going to break it. So and they're Thompsons, like you're not going to break a Thompson really. You can screw around with it, I guess, and get it jammed up, but you're not going to break it really. But anyway, so I've luckily been able to, and then I had another friend who had a warehouse that had tons of Thompson parts. So I've been able to fiddle. I got all my interest in Thompsons out. And then on top of that, now that I'm thinking about it, that guy that had the one that he sold, more than once, he brought it in for gunsmithing, and we would, you know, get paid basically to take it apart and fix it or clean it or whatever. And we were usually the one out shooting with him. So we'd be out shooting with him. He'd bring it into the shop, pay us to clean it. So it was pretty awesome. But anyway, so it was sort of like having a friend who has a, 67 Chevy or something, and you just got the chance to change the oil and work on it, and because you're out driving around in it. So I've got a lot of familiarization with the Thompsons. But
Hmm.
when I see people that bought one from Car or whatever, a modern one, and then, oh, I want a drum mag for it because it came with stick mags. It's like the reason it came with stick
Hmm.
mags. And then they go to buy their
Yep.
drum mag, like you say. Back then they were like $500. So it's like
Hmm.
$500. Okay, well I'm buying it because I'm so bad and I need to have it. And it does make the long ass barrel look a little better if you got a drum mag because it
Hmm.
doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It needs to have a short barrel to have the stick mag. So you really just need to get the pistol if you're going to use stick mags. But anyway, so you get that drum mag, and have you ever played with the drum mag on a Thompson?
No, no, I
they're
haven't.
they're finicky as shit, like trying to get it to fit into the slot. Like technically it's possible, obviously it went through the war, but there's a reason they went to stick mags and never used drum mags ever in the
Yep.
wars, because they suck. And it's like
Hmm.
really difficult, and it'll pinch you, like if you're not playing, if you're not doing it right, like I'm sure you get pinched with it. And it basically is this big heavy thing that has to slide back and forth inside this like part of the Thompson, that to me it looks super weird that the Thompson is cut in half minus like a little strap on top, but the Thompson is kind of cut in
Hmm.
half, like made to hold the drum mag. But you just have to get it right in there, and then this lever comes up. Like it's really not a good design, and
Nope.
or not for what it's for. It's like, okay, I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to put the drum mag in, have 50 rounds, and then put that in a holster while I'm in a Jeep or something. Like, yeah, it's perfect for that. Or like in a, next to the window in a old airplane or something. It was probably perfect for that. But changing the
Hmm.
mag, it's out of commission. Like you just need to have like three Thompsons handy with mags in them. But anyway, the other part of it is you figure out that it's like a real complex pain in the ass to change the mags. But then you open it up and it's like impossible to load. It's not impossible, but it's a real tedious bitch to load also.
Yep.
So you just never want to do it. And it's not like prohibitively expensive to shoot 45 out of one, but you're also not going to go buy the cheapest 45 you can and shoot it out of your $25,000 gun. You're probably going to want to buy some ammo that's hot enough to make the thing run. So that's the other problem. If you're shooting full autos, you can't use shitty, weak ass, like 9mm weak ammo. It probably won't
Hmm.
cycle most nines or most, real big, heavy, old fashioned machine guns. You need to have hot ammo. So anyway, those owners would buy those things and just come back, and anyway, they never really looked super happy about owning the things after they sunk all that money into it. The return on
Nope.
investment was not there. They look cool.
Yeah, Carl was running it down of what worked and what didn't. He was like, Thompson's drum mags don't really work, but the Korean drum mags do. Like he was just giving the rundown on it all, and I thought it was interesting, coming from somebody that was actually running the thing in competition, because he took it, started running the PCC competitions, and has they have something called the Roaring Twenties division, and one of their, I can't even think of the name of their tactical games, but running it there. Because I like shooting guns like that in competition under stress. I mean, shooting at the range is fun, but then it kind of gets boring after a while. But if you can shoot in competition, shoot off your left shoulder, right shoulder from behind cover, different positions, different distances, I think that is a lot more interesting, uh, just to me. But do what you want.
So New York Outcast is saying he's seen a lady buy a Tommy gun at the Rod of Iron that we would probably know who it
Hmm.
is because she hangs out with Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Do you know who that is?
Hmm. Oh, no, but I mean, the women I know who hang out with Riding Shotgun with Charlie, I can pretty much, I don't know. I mean, because I just know a lot of. Remember, we Charlie and I are actually friends, and we're friends with a lot of the same people. And I'm not surprised that the female activists that we hang out with would buy a Thompson.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like
Uh,
who hangs out with Charlie the most.
oh,
Amanda,
okay.
maybe. Amanda
Amanda,
Suffolk. They
the
probably
first
buy.
name Amanda.
Yeah. And she, well, I'm
And
also thinking of who goes to Rod of Iron, and I'm pretty sure she makes a big deal about going. But
yep,
also, I don't know if he knows Mary from Connecticut. I think Mary took over for um, Brooke as
Holly.
woman
Oh,
for gun rights. But
well,
I don't know. And then blonde hair. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Amanda Suffolk. He said black glasses and blonde hair.
blonde hair, glasses. Yeah, because other blonde hair is Robin, but Robin
I was
doesn't
going
have
to say like
glasses.
Robin
So
Sandoval and Brooke Cheney and
uh,
from New
Lauren Holly,
Jersey.
Lauren, but Lauren. What from New Jersey?
Yeah, because he goes to
Did you
New
say?
Jersey all the time. Um,
Yeah, yeah. He comes through every now and again. He comes to our events too.
but that's the only people I could think that would be going to Rod of Iron because it's in Pennsylvania or something, right? Like it's in
Hmm.
the East Coast somewhere. I don't know that many people from out here that go to it. I was
Yeah, I
trying to
really
go
need
when
to
I
get
was
through.
traveling, but it never worked when I was on the road to get to it. But I'd kind of like to go to it just to see. It's a little bit. It's got some aspects to it that I'm not into, but I still want to see what it's like, see what it's about.
I don't even know what other it's about. They just tell me it's a show and I should go. Um,
Well, it's like super
yeah.
political. I'm pretty sure it's like super Trump, and I don't care about Trump one
Oh,
way or the
really?
other. So I don't really. I'm not like
Yeah.
diving into something that's pro Trump, but I'm not diving into something that's anti Trump for sure. But if you
Hmm.
leave Trump out of it, I'd be fine. But I'm pretty sure they're like
Yeah.
red super Trump. And like I say, I don't care. I'll go there, but it's just like going to Sturgis. I'll go to Sturgis and hang out with motorcycle people, but I'm not going to go buy a motorcycle. I'll be aware of motorcycle act awareness, right? Like, hey, keep an eye out for
Hmm.
motorcycles. That sounds good, right? I'll take that from going to Sturgis, but I don't have to go buy a motorcycle and all that. So the same thing. I'll go to that event and be like, yeah, that's interesting, but I don't have to wear a Trump hat coming out of it.
Yeah. Amanda Suffolcool is no joke. I mean, her and her brother owned a gun shop. They were FFLs. So, yeah. She definitely be the type. Hell, be surprised if she didn't already own one. Um, but yeah, Tommy gun is definitely antiquated. I mean, it's the first gen submachine gun. It's how they started. Everybody isn't a freaking genius like John Moses Browning that out of the park. He made his semi-automatic one. He created the cartridge and he built the damn gun around it, and we call it the 1911. But I mean, it did go through stages. I mean, there was the 1910. There were other versions. Plus, there was also uh, the blowback operated. What was that they had? The concealed carry gun that they had. That was 1911 ish.
Most title.
1903.
Who?
Was it 1903? What was that gun they had?
Who's they?
Pocket pistol. It was really popular in the first half of the century. I think they even got even generals used it
You mean
in the
Colt?
American military. Yeah, the Colt
Yeah.
semi-automatic. It was
1903 or 1908 pocket pistol or the vest pocket, the
yeah,
baby Browning. Yeah.
yep, yep,
That
yep.
one was, well, Browning goes, we need to have a 25 ACP. So he built the 25 ACP and then wrapped a gun around it. And then Colt was like, blah, blah, blah. So he sold it to FN and it was called the Baby Browning. And then they came back and brought it to Colt, or Colt said, okay, we'll do it. And then they said, but we got to
Here we
put a
go.
safety on it or something dumb. So then they made it the vest pocket Browning, or the vest
Here we
pocket
go.
Colt to the same gun.
1903.
There you
The
go.
1903 Colt. Yeah. 32 ACP. It was a
Oh, that's
32
a different one.
ACP.
I'm thinking of the 25 ACP one.
Yes. So really cool. So it's a 32 ACP. Look it up. I think it's a really cool looking gun. And of course, you got to remember it's a 122-year-old design at this point. But Cylinder and Slide got together and made one, a 1903 looking 45 ACP. So it had the look of the 1903 hammerless, but it was a freaking 45. It was a 1911, really, that they refashioned to operate and look like that. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And of course, they wanted an arm and a leg for it. Being tactically thrifty, that was not going to be me. That's one of those, hey, if you had an unlimited amount of money
Are you
and you
talking
wanted to get it done.
recently or a long time ago?
Oh, yeah, a long time ago, because Cylinder and Slide closed.
Okay.
Yeah, sadly. I met
I
him,
never
though.
heard that. Okay.
Yeah, I met him and Ken Hackathorn together at NRA, and I actually had a conversation with both of them. And it was like, for a gun dude, a nerd, it was just awesome that I'm talking to freaking legends in the business at NRA show. Like it was all like just a lot. You know what I mean? It's like this is so friggin' cool that I'm here having this conversation with these dudes.
Here's something. So I asked if I was right about it being real political, and he said, and New York Outcast said, "Yeah, but it's not overwhelming. They have speakers and schedules, so you can avoid hearing the politics if you wanted to, but you will see the Trump merchandise." So that's
Okay.
maybe I was thinking of it being a little bit more louder than that. So that's thanks for the clarification. But it makes me think of something I was going to ask you about. I was probably going to ask you off air, but I don't think you care, and I don't care. We'll talk about it in air. But Professor Yamane, you've been following his
Mm-hmm.
stuff, the NRA coverage and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to him there. I
Well, but I
haven't
mean,
been
he's
following
posted some
Zen.
videos after. One of them was
So,
the NRA
hmm
meeting where he has the Trump speech, but the other one
so,
he did was like walking around the meeting, and he's been to the meeting before, but he's one of the only
mm-hmm.
people that actually turns the camera on the meeting itself and not like, here I'm at the so and so booth, I'm talking to so and so about their gun. He's like, here's the meeting, like here's what it looks like, right? But he was like, here's the
Yeah.
meeting, here's what it looks like, here's a bunch of Trump shit. And I get it, like he doesn't like Trump or whatever. So seeing a bunch
hmm
of Trump shit, I'm gonna say triggers. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm gonna say triggers him. And he made a video and he doesn't like it. I'm like, fine, like that you're allowed to have
Okay.
that opinion, and if you want to tell other people about it, that's fine. Because now I know that there was a bunch of Trump shit at the NRA thing. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I know there was Trump shit. There was one booth, he
hmm
said. So it's not gonna say a bunch of shit, considering there's probably like 1,300 booths there or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so,
It wasn't a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
but you were there. So anyway, um, that's the thing is when he posted that, I was like, yeah, it's like one booth. Like, is it really like, I don't know, kind of feeling him out. Like, is this like really annoying, or is this like enough to like repel people? Because the thing is, I ask because, or I don't know how to ask, but I am curious because we've had conversations years and years ago with people who suggested they were liberal, and they would say going into a gun shop and seeing an American flag was a trigger, and that they read a bunch of shit into that. And I'm like, oh, okay, because they'll see a Gadsden flag, the yellow flag with the snake. I see
hmm
that, and I think somebody who's like, don't tread on me, keep your hands off of me, my individual rights. But there's people that see that and go Civil War, slavery, and shit. Like, and I'm like, oh crap, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I had no idea. So when I see people complaining about Trump shit, I'm just generally curious. Like, is it like any Trump shit is too much, or like is this somehow an indicator of something? Like, what is it? What's your concern here? And anyway, so that's what I guess I was going to ask you. Do you think that, and like you haven't seen the video, so you're just speculating or whatever, but
Yeah.
do you think that you went there, so and you were there. Like, do you think that there's an amount of Trump shit at the NRA thing that would make NRA completely unappealing to any of the people who are, I just got to say, like left, whatever, liberal, whatever you
Well,
want to say, like those kind of gun owners?
it'll make a difference to people that want it to make a difference. That want, because I mean, my uncle's one of those people that's driving past people's homes that
Like if
still
you're
have
looking
Trump
to be
flags.
offended type of shit.
Yeah, if you're looking to be offended, you'll be offended. And hey, look, that's on you, dude, because again, you're choosing to be offended. As someone that grew up in the South and drove past freaking Confederate flags and went to stores with Confederate flags in it, a Trump hat's not going to make me lose my ish. So, it's not even going to make me blink an eye. Hell, a Confederate flag only makes me pay more attention to you. Doesn't necessarily mean you're a racist, but it does mean I'm paying attention to you. Um, so yeah, if you choose to be upset over it, then yeah, they had enough Trump stuff for you to concentrate on that and lose the whole point. Nothing wrong with that. Be you, but understand you're allowing your own biases to affect being at one of the greatest places you can be for that low of a price and see and touch every firearm almost in the industry at that point. If you're a gun person, you know what I mean? Like if you're a gun
Yeah.
person, you're throwing all that opportunity out of the window because somebody's selling a hat would make
Well,
America
what
great
bothers
again.
me is somebody who's been going to gun shows my whole fucking life. Like, I don't even remember not going to gun shows. I mean, I haven't been to gun shows in a
hmm
while, so it's not like I mean, I definitely have not like preaching here like I always go to gun shows every weekend or anything. But I've been going to gun shows my
hmm
whole life, and gun shows, I keep saying, like, if we ignore them, they will go away. And I
hmm
think they're one of the neatest ways to like keep your finger on the pulse of the community, to like get informed. Like there used to be politicians would show up at them, like they've changed or whatever, but the potential of them is still there, and that's real life, hands on, like IRL, getting together, getting people out of their whatever ruts or their routines and their uh, echo chambers, all that kind of stuff that we fall into, bringing them out, getting them to a different routine, a different kind of chamber. And that's one where we kind of melting pot type of thing, right? We get to see all the different, like, oh, there's cowboy shooters. Oh, shit, there's competition shooters in my town. I didn't know that. Like, oh, there's tactical training here. And there's also some other kind of training. And then there's gunsmithing, like there's all the stuff that you wouldn't even know, like taxidermists and hunting guides and stuff. Like who knows what else going on? Do you have a thriving gun community, or is it all falling apart? The small businesses, right? People that can imagine now with kydex and leather and um, the sharing of knowledge out there, what the potential of what gun shops could be compared to when we were kids. And like if you knew leather, you had to grow up in some kind of leather family, right? Like you just didn't go figure out how to work leather or like how to, I don't know, do welding or something else that would be a part of the gunsmithing or, gunsmithing itself. So anyway, I think gun shows have a lot of potential, but quit that campaign a long time ago. It's so tough to get people to go to a gun show. I guess it's potentially different now. I guess now that I'm just rambling on about this, back in the
Hmm.
days, I would try to get people to be like, hey, gun shows are going to go away if we don't pay attention to them. Like the venues have pressure all the time from the antis because they know it's one more thing they can do to move the Overton window, to remove the ability for us to get together and hang out and meet each other, all the stuff I just said. So they know that. They knew the value of gun shows, and the whole gun show loophole bullshit was 100% because think about, get into preaching here, but think about all the stuff that we've resisted as gun owners in the days before computers. And a big part of that is because of gun shows and people like the NRA that could send out newsletters and get them distributed through things like gun shows. And that was highly effective. So, stuff like concealed carry and all that happened before the fucking internet. Like that all happened because of gun shows and newsletters and shit like that. So it wasn't like we went to the NRA show and thought about concealed carry. Like people went to the NRA show to look at hunting and competition shit, marksmanship. But anyway, so gun shows I thought had a lot of potential, and as I kind of saw them wane, I would champion them, and I couldn't get the gun show promoters themselves to give enough of a shit. Most of them thought of it
Hmm.
as like their routine, like that's their gig, and you don't mess with us. And they've been abused by so much media over the years that with the whole gun show loophole shit, just getting exploited, that they were super gun shy, to use the pun, and just didn't want to deal with us as the internet was starting. And then once the internet became established and they could kind of check our bona fides or whatever and go, okay, you guys are cool, we'll let you promote our gun show or whatever. It was tough. Like people just didn't give a shit about gun shows anymore. The people that grew up with them, remembered what good gun shows were, and the current gun shows weren't. And what killed the gun shows was a couple of the assault weapons ban, I guess, a little bit, but ammo shortages. Ammo shortages just thrashed the gun shows. They used to be one thing, and then the ammo shortages happened. And I don't know, no one ever talks about this. At least I've never seen anybody go back and study this. But were the ammo shortages created, or was it just the ammo shortages just happened and fucked up gun shows and the gun culture pretty fucking good until the internet just happened to save the gun culture? But we really almost lost gun culture. That's another reason I guess I rage against Professor Yamani's gun culture 2.0. It might be 2.0 of version 2 gun culture, but it certainly isn't gun culture 2.0 of all gun culture. But anyway, I think gun shows are a massive potential, and hopefully we'll see with the new gun owner, the people that bought out of fear of whatever in 2020, 2023, and are hopefully buying a couple more guns or getting involved in shooting sports or training or something. Hopefully they'll see the potential of showing up at a gun show. And without ammo shortages, gun shows have to be different. And actually, I haven't been to gun shows in a while. I should shut up. Maybe they are fucking thriving again. I kind of
Well,
ranted there.
a lot of things.
I like gun
Yeah, well,
shows.
a lot of things happen. A lot of things happen to run gun show. I mean, but okay, hold on. Let me calm down. One of the most frustrating things about gun stores, gun shows, and people in the freaking firearms business is that it is the ultimate mom and pop, and it's made up of people that are mostly individualists when it comes to stuff like that. And they're untrustworthy of the media because I totally get it. It's like times change, but they're still, they only have to listen to themselves. They have no, and again, I'm talking, individual salespeople and stuff like that, smaller gun shops. So it's like they don't have anybody going, "Hey, the internet's the future. Get off your butt, man. Get with it." I mean, even Brownell's doing when I interviewed him, talking about how his dad didn't think, the internet was a thing that would be worth getting into, and Pete started Brownells.com on his own, and it was like, yeah, pretty much they're not on the cutting edge of stuff. They would be safe. They're not the dudes that hang it out. You know what I mean? Those not the kind of personalities they have for the most part. So the few that do, you have to applaud. And yeah, they didn't trust anybody. I mean, even the old prices and the things people act at gun shows like you can't go online and get a better deal than them charging top of the line blue book value for something that's for the hell out. It's like, dude, I don't have to get this. I can get something new for almost the same cost. I mean, you see it all the time. So I'm not going to say FUD because that gets on my nerves. People use it for anything. But it's like, yo, bro, get with the times. Things change, and we need to help proliferate gun shows so people can get out and touch stuff and see things. And if they keep doing it the old way, well, you're giving up potential customers, especially now. I mean, post 2020, it's changed, and you need to change with it if you want to make these sales. But 2020 happened. Everybody was buying everything, so you had people that didn't know any better, and they would pay anything for anything. And many of these gun shows, gun shop owners, thought all of a sudden they became genius business people. It's like, no, everyone was desperate for a gun. All right, now is where rubber meets the road, doing what they call the Trump slump. How good of a business person are you? How good are you at exploiting those contacts you should have made during those times of plenty? Did you do anything with it? Because a lot of them didn't. Hold on. Yeah, I want to keep this vague enough. I was at a place, and a friend of mine or a guy I know came and said, "Hey, Tony, you need to check out this range. It's very nice, and you should be able to host diversity shoots there." He was like, the guy, and he was pretty much what I just described. He was a guy that didn't want to change his ways. But 2020 happened, and he was able to sell a lot of guns. He was able to sell a lot of memberships to his range. And when people approached him to buy the range, because obviously, between 2020 and pretty much last year, it was a good investment. He gave him a ridiculously high price because he thought it was going to last forever. Well, then, the slump started happening in the last year. And now he's trying to get from under it because he's not making as much money, and he didn't exploit those relationships he could have made during that time frame. So the person I was talking to found out pretty much during our conversation that the guy put the place up for sale. Like someone else showed up and found out he put the place up for sale. So the discussion went to buying the range from the guy while I was sitting there. And ends up the people I were talking to was part of like a 3-person group that was going to buy this range. All because, again, a lot of gun shop owners don't know how to exploit what they did have and don't know how to grow stuff and don't want to actually extend past themselves or take any risk at growing because they don't want to lose. I don't want to lose my regular guys by, extending a hand out too. Usually it's like women and minorities and LGBT community. And I'm like, all you have to do is just welcome people and put advertisements in other freaking, you know what I mean? In other places. uh, and use your social media and grow it and join other boards. You don't have to have a Black History Month sale or a Juneteenth celebration or celebrate Gay Pride Month. All you have to do is make people feel comfortable coming in your store and make people aware that even you have one and you welcome them. That's one of the things that people tell me all the time. I didn't think I'd be welcomed in a gun store or a gun range. And it doesn't take much.
Well, that's now you're talking about that. I'm sitting here thinking about. I was thinking about this the other day as I was driving home that all the gun shops in town are different, and I should go drive around look at all the new gun shops because even if they're in the same location, they've changed hands, and that's changed the culture of the shop. So, so I'm thinking of as you're describing that element of a shop. So you're right. Like you can put up, oh, I don't know, like a flag with a blue stripe on it. Like that would offend some people because they don't like cops, or it's going to offend people because they're like, "What are you turning this into a cop shop?" Because a cop gun shop is different than a regular gun shop. They're going to offer
Hmm.
mostly stuff that's like they need for duty, and it's just a boring gun shop. It's like they offer very very limited stuff, and they just order it in all the different sizes the cops need, and they'll order stuff for people, but they become really boring gun shops. So anyway, if you did that, if you put up a big "Cops Lives Matter" sign or something, that can change the culture of a shop right away. Now you take that
Hmm.
sign, right? You take that sign down. You just have a section, a whole wall of the store. Or I've been to there's one store in Vegas where it's like two, three stores stuck together and the range. So it's almost like you have the range, you have the gun shop, then you have like the, I must call it like gunsmith, marksman, long range, like up, fancy shop. And then you have keep walking and you walk into what do you call that when it's like a cop shop? I keep saying a cop shop, but that's like a donut shop or something like the when you have uniform supply. It's like a uniform supply. It's all the
Hmm.
different like, corrections officers and anybody's got a uniform in town. This is Vegas, so there's a bunch of different uniforms. But anyway, if it's just a portion of the store that's the uniforms and stuff, nobody gives a shit. Like nobody cares at all. But if
Hmm.
you put that sign out front, you might not even get people showing up. So I get what you're saying. Like you can, I guess I'm just saying you can apply that to different things. Like if you put up an old, like Ruger revolver banner up front, you might not even get modern shooters showing up at your store. They just assume you're proclaiming to everybody like we're old fashioned guns here. We're revolvers and stuff like. So I guess you could get, or that's always been a thing, and so each of the shops will have their own like culture or whatever. So as you were saying that, I'm thinking like, yeah, I kind of we had that in Tucson. There was a couple of shops where like old guys owned it, and every
Hmm.
once in a while they might have a modern gun like in trade in, or accidentally they somehow got a new gun, but they would never intentionally buy a new gun. They just weren't interested in it. And then there was other shops where you wouldn't even see a used gun, let alone a revolver. Like the only revolver they'd have in
Hmm.
there is if like some new instructor came along and said you should buy a revolver, and then they would buy that revolver and have it for customers. But they weren't going to have anything that wasn't going to go to the people coming out of schools or coming out anyway. So I think there is that, and that's probably a factor of how many shops are in a town, because I'm in Tucson. There's usually around 16 to 20 something gun shops here. So pretty
Yeah.
quick they're going to line themselves up and like that's the shop for this, that's the shop for that. But that's why I kind of liked the Tucson Guns, because it was the shop I hung out at. Bob didn't care. And I was going to say the big other thing that is always a factor, no matter what realm you're in, is if you're catering to people money or not. And that was one of the biggest tensions in the shop. Is Bob would we had like a Daily Dime. I don't know if other people have that, like the cheap newspaper, the free newspaper. And Bob would always
Hmm.
advertise in the free newspaper, especially when he'd do like, hey, we're having free hot dogs on Saturday, and he put that in the free newspaper. And these guys were like, what are you fucking doing? Like, all you're doing is asking a bunch of poor people to come in and eat a free hot dog. They're not going to buy guns or whatever. And
Hmm.
I don't know why Bob kept doing it, but anyway, there was shops in town that would never even consider giving away a free hot dog for any reason, and then they would never
Hmm.
consider being in that newspaper. Yet Bob was like, I don't give a shit. I want everybody to come in my shop. And I don't know if you mean he lasted for a while, but he didn't live, last forever doing that. So, it wasn't like a brilliant business strategy. But anyway, so that's just another factor of like, the gun shops are going to all be different because different human beings are running them, right? Like different people are doing it
Yep.
with different reasons and
Different
stuff.
people are doing it. It's like, don't sit there and quit, because this annoyed me even with my parents' shop. Um, when we tried to get them in the like, look, hire somebody uh, to help you run the business better, to at least give you an hire a consultant. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not worth it. But I'm like, put the money into a consultant, because they were talking about opening up multiple shops without actually talking to a consultant first. And I'm like, well, one, is a heavy commitment, and the other one's not so heavy. So they hired a consultant and then didn't listen to anything the guy said. Like, didn't take not one suggestion of the person being there the entire week, watching their business run. And and I'm like, gun shops are like that too. They're like these mom and pop businesses, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Smart ones listen and allow themselves to grow. Gun for hire range here in New Jersey is one of them. I mean, they're doing all kinds of things, and if it wasn't for the political bullcrap here, they'd be a lot bigger and more people would know them. It's like, yeah, we got this gun shop. We put a gun shop inside our range. Then they bought a gun store and put the gun store inside their range. Then they have a museum that they were going to put inside the range, and also they have 100-person meeting room inside the range, and a freaking, what do you call that thing? A cigar lounge inside the range. It's like they just did things to keep growing and bringing in more clientele. You know what I mean? And next level stuff. And we're going to host classes, and we host classes inside the range, and then they work with someone in an outdoor range, and they're like, "Yeah, we do long range classes now. We run tactical classes indoors and outdoors because we have a relationship with another." Like, they never stop looking for a way to grow bigger. And then others are just like, "Well, I don't want to cater to those people, whoever those people are." And I'm not even saying, race or gender. It's just like, I don't want those Glock tards coming in here. I don't want the FUDs coming in, so I don't carry 12 gauge pump shotguns and revolvers. Or I won't carry a 1911. It's like, you've seen that, and I mean, you were actually talking about that. And it's like, hey, do we want this to grow or do we want this to stagnate? Because living in a state like New Jersey, we don't have as many gun stores as other places because the townships themselves, the townships and the state make it difficult. They want to treat you as if you're evil because you have anything to do with firearms. And I'm like, what do you think? They just opened up to sell the drug dealers? They went through all that, all the trouble of both state investigations, federal investigations, a crap ton of fees and restrictions and requirements just to go, yeah, I'm going to sell friggin' high points to drug dealers on the corner. And that's going to be exclusively my business. High points and Glock switches. That's the kind of crap we go through here in Jersey at all times.
Or they think there's going to be a significant side hustle with that or something, or that it's even
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, not alone that it's not possible, but they think that, yeah, they've got some perception that that's the kind of shit that they're solving.
Well, it's not as if they haven't been answers given to where these people get their freaking illegal firearms for. It takes zero effort to find it at this point. It's like, well, where do they get their guns from? Many of them use straw purchases. The people you don't convict, that you're allowed, and this is both state and federal, people you allow to take plea deals and not get charged or reduce sentences, or they steal them from people's homes and cars. Not so much cars in New Jersey, but for their homes. Something that if
Uh,
it's nonviolent, again, you cut them a deal.
I don't know how many. Then again, I don't know if John Lott or somebody can do this. I don't know if I haven't heard from him very much, but we need more researchers. Having a single researcher is fucking bullshit in our whole like industry community, whatever we're called. So, but yeah, if you think about crime guns, let's say I have no idea. Like, sometimes they'll act like there's a scourge of crime or an epidemic, and it's like 16 murders. So if it's, let's say it's 100 murders, I have no idea if there's any state that has or city that has 100 murders in it. But of those 100 murders, is that 100 murderers just get the balls to be a murderer, or does somebody out there like murdering 23 people because he figured out how to murder people good, or he doesn't give a shit anymore? He's already, I'm already going to hell, so I'm going to keep murdering people, or whatever his reasoning is. It's almost always a he, right? And then I don't think anybody's going to get mad at me for saying that. And then um, maybe it's 20 murderers who've murdered 3 to 5 people each or something. One of them's got 7, one of them's got 1. I think that's more likely. And if that's the case, how many murder guns are we talking about? You know, one per murder. It's not like people murder somebody and wing the gun into a creek. They're probably, especially if it's somebody's murdering the shit out of people, unless there's some kind of mass murderer, which isn't the case hardly ever. It's some kind of gang situation, right? Or criminal situation. If you want to, don't say gang, say cartel if you want. But those guns are going into some kind of pile, some kind of hole, some kind of place, and they're getting pulled out and used over and over because people aren't stupid. Then what's the point of buying guns every time you're going to go murder somebody if you're murdering a lot of people? So really, we're talking about a certain amount of guns is all I'm getting at, right? But if you really, I think, use logic, or if you just boil it down, we're not talking about thousands of guns killing hundreds of people. Like that's not the case. We're talking about dozens of guns killing hundreds of people, or more
Hmm.
likely singular numbers of guns killing dozens of people, and that's what they're complaining about. And again, if that's the case, how many straw purchasers was that? That's what I guess I was getting to. Is, if we're talking dozens of guns, that's one girlfriend, and this doesn't have to be a girlfriend. Girlfriend's probably the most likely situation because that's what you always hear about, and what I've seen is gun shop owners. But
Hmm.
because it's really hard to know if a girlfriend is buying something for somebody or if a girlfriend is buying something for her friend, or for, let's say, the boyfriend or the boyfriend's uh, criminal friends. And she may or may not be doing that for the $50 they give her or the $100 they give her, or she might be doing it out of loyalty to the gang or something. But who the fuck cares, right? She's going to do it more than once until she decides to not do it because it's the implications are bad. She's going to go to jail or something, or they quit paying her, or she's not a boyfriend and girlfriend situation anymore. Like all those different variables. So I think we're really talking about dozens of people in the fucking country as straw purchasers. I don't think we're talking about thousands of people in some kind of system. Like they'll act like, I keep listening to these interviews and they act like there's big elaborate systems, and I'm like, all you got to do is prove that. Like, just prove it. I mean, there's 4473s
Hmm.
all over the fucking place. Just start proving any of this, because all you do is point to singular instances of individual girls doing this. And anyway, that's all I'm getting at. Is I think this is a very small problem that, because nobody has shined an actual light on it and gotten some actual numbers down, we're all just assuming that it's a bigger problem than it is, or we're letting them make it seem like a bigger problem than it really is. But in reality,
Well,
it's
mhm.
as simple as like, don't let girls buy guns, right? So that's what they want it to be. They want it to be, don't let girlfriends buy guns.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like, girl. Oh, it's just, and I'm like, okay, so where are all the convictions? What? Yeah, where are all the convictions? All these girlfriends and baby mamas and other people, because they don't convict them. You might have the arrest, but you don't get the convictions behind it. They don't do serious time, and it's like, because again, the same authorities that are telling me that I should have my rights curtailed, or the same, because of straw purchases, are the same ones that release the straw purchases without charging them. So yeah,
And I don't think that they should. I mean, these are girls that are either being duped, or every once in a while they're getting paid, I guess. But they probably got kids and they probably got other shit to worry about in their worlds, like putting them in jail because of what their boyfriend made them do. I'm not saying
I
every
ain't buying into
girl's an
that.
angel, but
Uh,
well,
I'm
I'm
not
just
buying into that, dude. Listen, either you have agency or you don't. You're a grown ass woman and make damn competent decisions, or you're not. Don't tell me that you're a boss girl or whatever, a girl boss, but meanwhile
no,
you're
yeah, the
freaking
ones that are
dude.
getting doing it as a business, I hear you, but I don't. I know that they're not all
Well,
doing it as a business. I know that sometimes it's like, oh, I'm buying
mhm.
my boyfriend a gun or whatever, or whatever,
I'm
and
buying
then,
my boyfriend, the gangbanger, a gun. I'm buying my boyfriend, the dude that just got out of prison, a gun. No, I
well,
don't feel sorry for you. Stop being stupid. Now, if your dude
we're
has
talking about
fooled you
different
in,
girlfriends, I guess.
we're talking about different kind of people. But I'm like, dude, there comes a point that it should be at least done on an individual basis. Not pretty much everybody that does it gets to walk. It's like, because one is not the same as the other. You know what I mean? The person you're talking about that did get tricked and fooled into it, or even manipulated into buying a firearm for the person they care about, is totally different than, baby mama number 17 buying the fifth Draco for her
Yeah, that
boyfriend
knows
again.
that's just a $50 paycheck. That it's not,
Yeah,
yeah, somebody understands the
yeah.
feeling.
I'm like, stop act treating those people like the same person, because they're not.
That's a good point. No, that's the real issue, really. But I don't, and even okay. So I guess what I'm also saying is, I just don't think there's a lot of either one of those girls. I think there's those
No,
girls. I just don't think there's a shit ton of either one of them.
no, they're not. But they're using those people, those not only women but men and everybody else. They're using those people
Yeah,
as
I
the
say
reason they want
girlfriends, but
to
it
kill
could be
our rights.
little brother, right? It could be friend from work,
Mm-hmm.
like, or just I think it's
Yeah.
girlfriends are easier to spot because they come into the gun show with a piece of paper and go, "I want the Draco in 7.62 by 39 millimeter," or they go 7.62 by 39 mm. And you're like, "Oh, here, like, can you point at that for me, please?" And then they go, and then they come in with a picture next time.
Nice. Like when I was trying to get my mom, because I was going to pay for the freaking firearm, but my mom wanted something to protect herself at home, a home defense firearm. So I'm in the gun store, and this dude acted like I can't buy a freaking gun, and I'm trying to use my mom to make a purchase. And I'm like, bro, one, all your guns here overpriced, and you got mostly garbage. Two, no, I don't need to do this. I'm trying to help my mom, and I'm not having her educated by your ass, who's trying to, get Smith and Wesson or Sig points this month, and will sell my mom something that's way overcomplicated and something she can't use. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not happening, buddy. So I ended up giving my mom one of my shotguns. F them. You could have had a sale, but you looked at me like I was some kind of international arms dealer that was trying to get his mama to buy him a gun. All you had to do was have a conversation with him. I'm
Okay,
like, yeah,
so
I don't. Go ahead, man.
I was just noticing that I still have. I'm paying $200 a month for this operator. Well, I paid once $200 to have this fancy robot. And for what it's worth, for me, it's not worth the money. It is neat because you can make it do stuff like schedule a 30-minute meal with chicken that has at least 4 stars. Like, that's not me, so I'm not doing that. But you can tell it to go buy tickets at some place and it'll go do that stuff for you. So it's sort of like having a robot assistant, and it's supposed to be a stronger, bigger version of the robot ChatGPT. But
Hmm.
I put in here, if you're down, I don't think we've done this before, but I was going to put in who is Tony Simon.
Ooh.
You're right with that?
Oh yeah, dude. It's funny because I did it last week with Google.
There you go. And I got to spell it right. There we go. Because we've done this with some people before, and it'll go, I don't know who that is. And then other people knows exactly who you are. Tony Simon is a professional musician, better known by his stage name Blockhead. He is a hip hop producer and DJ from Manhattan, New York City. Simon has worked with notable artists such as, I don't know how to say that, Rock, and has released several solo items. Wow. All right.
Yes,
Well,
I don't
I had
talk
no
about
idea.
that on the podcast.
No, that was way before the
Yeah,
2A4E. So I'll just ask it
yeah.
about 2A4E then. Sorry. That's why I wanted to make sure before I started asking stuff publicly. What is 2A?
Thank God they didn't know my stripper career. That would have been really embarrassing.
What's super sad, and this is again why I'm not a fan of this $200 version, is because this is supposed to go out and look at the internet. It just confidently made up some bullshit here. So I'm going to say, what is 2A for E?
Now, when I use Google, all right, at work from someone else's computer,
Uh huh.
I was third. I was the third Tony Simon that came up. Of course, when I used my own account, I was the first Tony Simon that came up. But I'm like, come on, man. This computer scouring the internet. Oh, and by the way, Tony Simon and musician didn't come up at all. And this is in New Jersey. You figure the New York based musician would come up here first. So,
Especially like hip hop DJ, like this isn't like some obscure, like, oh, from 1927 or something.
hmm.
So what is 2A for E? 2A for E is a hexadecimal number. In decimal, it translates to 10,830. Hexadecimal is a base 16 numeral system. So it's 10,830 is your lucky number, I guess. So that's
Yeah,
sad.
definitely
That's really
10,000.
sad. I was hoping it'd be interesting because at least like this just confidently made up boring stuff. The one that like say when we were doing Foss from the overnight show, it was like, oh, I don't know who that is. You know, you're making stuff up. There's no person. There's no such person. We've never heard of this show.
Hmm.
And then you ask other things like who's other people, and it's like, oh, it's so and so, and it's pretty accurate, and it tells you all this really flowery, like flattering information about them.
Yeah, see,
So,
I can't do it from here because obviously it's me, like from my phone.
well, this was
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's coming from a different angle, but this also operator GPT, so it was supposed to be like say $200 a month. Like that's a lot of shit money, and it's supposed to go out and look at the internet and be like better than accurate or like more. What's the word? Like more it's going to go get more data than the regular internet or the regular robots. Let's see. So we got an actual question coming in from Alan Anchor. Welcome up in here in Arizona. Let's see. My good question is AMT backup viable carry option? Question mark. Are you familiar with it? The AMT backup.
What's that?
The AMT backup.
Uh, well, I know AMT. What's the AMT backup? Hold on.
All right. It's one of them. I'll grab the picture here. Put it on the screen. It's a smaller version, but it's an all stainless.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember it as having this little curly thingy at the end of the mag. They don't all have this, but
Hmm.
I think this one does. But I remember it having that at the end of the mag, and I thought that was the coolest shit.
All right. My question is, why are you buying this thing this small, this old, at this much weight? Now, there's a reason for that. Smith& Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 weighs less, has a better handful. It feels your hand better, and it weighs less, and it's not freaking from 1978.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
if you
the
get it,
thing.
if you get it for nostalgia reasons, where we had really crappy CCW gun options, then fine, have fun with it. Get whatever you want. You know what I mean? Get a C camp. It was another one of those guns from back in the day that everybody loved as a concealed carry gun prior to the year 2000. You know what I mean? Like a deeper concealed carry, almost pocket carry size pistol. But there have been so many more improvements uh, in the guns themselves, in the materials they made it out of, in the dependability, because AMT still had a problem with spalling with their stainless guns. Uh, that I a Ruger LCP, I mean, is a choice. Again, that Smith and Wesson is a good choice. I don't know about the size of the Glock 380 model, but I don't think so for the most part. They're better choices. But if you want something for nostalgia reasons, knock yourself out.
Yeah, that's a real hard thing to add to. I'm just going to use that car analogy again. Like, this is now a 1970s car. So this is like getting a 70s Firebird, like what Rockford Files would drive around. Like, it's badass.
Hmm.
And at the time, it would have been the tits. But everything you just said, it's first gen. That's what I'm gonna say, or at least maybe I'm not that good at this. Maybe second gen, but it's definitely we're in third or fourth gen now. Like we're way beyond with the polymers and just better fitment and whatever. And they've had a chance to uh, get whatever cute quality kind of stuff figured out. So the tolerances and stuff, I don't know. I've never shot this one enough to remember how reliable it was. But just looking at like this little piece of metal here underneath the grip makes you think about like there's just so much room for potential problem. But in a holster, in a pocket, on a belt maybe, or if this is Angelina, we assume in a purse, probably like a purse with long strappy, like little tiny purse, long straps, right? And then you have a little clasp
Hmm.
you have to open to get to the gun. But I don't know. I mean, they're stainless, so there's not there. I don't know. I would say everything Tony said. There's just other options that are out there. Like that roll pin tells you a lot. They just don't do that kind of tech. And well, I shouldn't say that. There are some companies that still use some roll pins. Now that I'm saying that, but not too many making stainless guns. Two of them in a parking lot for $200. What? I would definitely own one of these for $100.
Oh yeah, well that's totally different, bro.
Now having two of
That's
them, that would be cool. I would do some kind of a leather V rig, right? Like a V rig, and then you wear that small of your back, total 70s style.
nice, nice. I mean, yeah, I mean for $100 each, there's no reason for me not to get this because it's old school stuff and it's not one of the what is it, circle of fire guns. It's not garbage. It's just older tech.
Well, no, Serpo's Ring of Fire, yeah, they're older tech that was, I would call it like fire extinguisher level, like their Harbor Freight quality tool like level. So they can work, but you're not you're not supposed to take it to the range every day and fire rounds through it like you can with Rugers and Smith and Wessons and all the Stigs and everything. They're not they're made out of materials that can't handle that. This is stainless. The problem is stainless isn't like the ultimate material. It's great for knives and shit, but it peens, right? Like you can get
Yep.
stainless to wear out. That was why they started making aluminum guns and shit. Like there's no perfect metal. The perfect metal is hardened steel, I guess, right? Like case hardened steel. Now it's like an anvil and it won't peen, but now you're carrying around a big piece of hardened steel. So everybody wants something else, but aluminum starts to smush, stainless starts to get hammered or peen or whatever you want to call that. Plastic wears out. Like there's no perfect material. So new like saying this gun has issues, it's hard for me to say it has too many issues because this gun will still be fucking working when our grandkids are having a podcast, because they'll be going, all I had to do is change out 3 springs, the perishable items on this gun, and all the stainless steel parts still work just fine because there's no weird pressures on them. There's no reason for the stainless to blow out, right? Like it's fine. All the polymer guns that everybody brags about right now, what's UV light going to do to those? How long? Leave your plastic wonder gun outside for a few days in Arizona, and let's get back to how strong and reliable and ultra great your guns are. Like, as long as you keep them great condition, they'll last for maybe a generation or two. But how long are like my first Glocks, my old Glocks that are from the '80s? I don't want to go around messing with those. Those things are getting kind of brittle. So that's all I'm saying. Like, no material is perfect, right?
Well, look, yeah, everything has a downside, and then how long are you talking about? We're talking about passing. This is not the brown best from your great 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 grandfather. Um, Different materials, different everything. Also, no one used the brown best. There was no hard use. You're not running classes with this gun. This gun's going to be around for a while. Also, your Glock 19, that's going to last for a while too. But what's a while? What, 200 years from now, somebody's running that same Glock 19? Probably not. But there's plenty of people with 100-year-old 1911s. Like, that. But again, the polymer revolution didn't happen until what, 60 years ago? That we have polymer guns that were adopted by militaries. I mean, the AR-15 was
60.
actually adopted. Hmm.
Holy
Well,
shit.
yeah,
50.
adopted. I mean, the AR-15 might have been developed, but it was
Oh, you're
adopted
thinking
in the
of AR.
60s.
I'm thinking of pistols. That's all. Okay. But yeah, still.
Well, I'm thinking of pistols too, but I mean, what polymer pistol got adopted? You know what I
Wow.
mean? I mean, I'm going back. We got VP-70 that was a polymer pistol, but it wasn't really adopted largely, and
By
that's
some
50 years
power.
ago. So
Yeah. But the Glock 50
yeah,
years ago, basically.
the Glock was in '83. So or you go with the P80, which was their first Glock adopted by the Austrian military. So still, you only have a what 50, 40-year old, 45-year-old Glock. That's the oldest Glock you got. And the stainless steel gun won't even notice time pass at 45 years. They're like, yeah, and your your C96 is laughing its ass off. I remember when I was 40, and you can still you can still take it to the range and shoot
Yeah,
it.
seriously. Right? As long as you don't abuse them. I mean, like something like a Bakelite grip panel could break. So, like
Hmm.
plastic and this thing might eventually get brittle and break off, but the stainless ain't going to get brittle and break or nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do we expect out of firearms? I mean, did you buy a heirloom Glock 19? No, you bought a Glock 19, hopefully to use for yourself or use as a backup gun or have as a secondary, tertiary, or your 75th Glock, but you didn't keep it to go. I'm going to bury this in the backyard 150 years from now. We can dig it up and run this Glock. But I do find it funny that everybody assumes, 100 years from now we're going to be shooting lasers. I'm like, yeah, that's what they said probably 100 years ago too, and we're still using 9 millimeter and 45 from 1903 and 1910.
I
I think
took
the
my
45 ACP.
I took my lasers out camping last time, and I burned my finger like 6 times. So if we really wanted to, we have some pretty powerful freaking lasers. Like right now, it looks like a flashlight, but you
Hmm.
could turn it into a pistol looking thing, and just by re-engineering it, probably put way bigger batteries in it and engineer it to pulse better than, because like right now I'll turn it on and burn my finger and then let go. But if you pulsed it, it probably, I bet you we could have lasers if we really wanted them at this point. I still, they're obviously not practical or something, or else I
Oh,
think we could.
we do have them. Navy has them mounted on ships, and they've shot missiles down with them.
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah, yeah, for
45
sure.
ACP. Yeah, the 45 ACP was developed in 1904 for the first time. 1904 was
Yeah,
the 45 ACP. 1903 was the 9 millimeter. I think the most disappointed person that would come back, well, one of the most disappointed people that would come back from the past, if you could bring them back, would be John Moses Browning.
think so. You don't think you'd be impressed
Oh,
with it with that going on?
no. He was like, wait a minute, dude. I developed this with like a slide rule and a pencil. You have CAD, you have you have computers and all of this stuff that you can build guns at home, and y'all still haven't got better than the Browning system. Like you still haven't developed anything other than my cartridge in 45, someone else's cartridge in 9 millimeter is still the best sellers.
That is a good point.
It's like, because, he goes, I mean, imagine telling John Moses Brown, hey, come back to the future and see what was developed since your passing. Because I think he died in late mid 20s. I know he passed away before the Browning was finished, the Browning high powers, which was adopted in 35. So it's like, hey, John Moses Browning in 1925, you want to go 100 years into the future and see what's around? And then you drop him off at NRA show, and he goes, all right, other than televisions and crap, the guns really haven't advanced.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah,
probably
take
not like unfamiliar with aluminum. He probably just didn't get around to it, or he tried it and moved on. So,
yeah.
plastic, he would be like, "Oh, plastic, interesting." But
You did you go to shot? You go to shot this year?
yeah, of
You
course,
did, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so the big booth, the big thing that everybody was all excited about, right? The Queen of Shot Show was Staccato. That was the one everyone was rushing to. I'm like, can you imagine everybody all hyped up? They go, oh, we got to get to Staccato. And John Moses Brown is like, yes, let's get to that Staccato booth and see what the newest thing in 2025 is. And he goes, really?
Yeah, exactly.
He gets to the Staccato booth and he's like, you're effing joking me, right? This is what your advancement is? A cartridge from 1903 in a gun I developed in 1911? This is your latest and greatest? What happened? Did society collapse and y'all forgot what was up?
And then along the way, walking into shot, he'd figure out what Velcro is and what patches are. And then when he'd get over there, he'd be like, "Well, can I get one of your patches?" And they'd be like, "No."
Who are you?
Yeah. Unless you got an email. What's your email, buddy? No. Then get out here.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Give us your email and you can have a patch.
For people that don't know, they're super stingy with their patches. You got to give them an email, and then they run out all the time. So you got to they expect you to run over there and grab one of their patches right away in the morning.
Hmm.
Not
Oh,
like
well,
Al and Anchor, where if you see them at SHOT Show, those hand out patches like if they made them themselves. Uh, Alan Anchor said, "Been doing all my own smoking. Arizona has mediocre barbecue, surprisingly." I didn't
mm,
really pay attention to that shit when I moved out here, but just growing up, I never thought of Arizona for anything. Like New Mexico has chilies, which I guess I might have
hmm
known, but I know because I live here now. And other states have other foods, but I don't think of Arizona for anything. But I think that the barbecue,
yeah.
I got to agree with you. Like, there's only like two barbecue places that I even know of, and they're not like Arizona barbecue. They're like, something else is Louisiana barbecue or something. Uh,
hmm
I think it just might be because out here they didn't. I think they just cooked cow. They didn't go for them. Maybe they just historically weren't very fancy out here
Well,
because it
there's
was just
different
land.
cultures and food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
food culture is different, dude. I mean, there's North Carolina barbecue, right? There's Carolina barbecue, and there's Texas barbecue, and they develop differently. But at least you know when you get there, there's those foods there because it's known. Nobody goes, "Hey, let's get to what did you say? Arizona?" Yeah, there was no. And now again, there's somebody that travels, right? And being someone who loves food, loves eating it, loves writing about it, all that. When I went to Omaha, I wanted an Omaha steak, right? Because commercials. I thought they'd be just steak stands all over the place or something. Well, I didn't really think that, but I figured there'd be quality steak houses available that just made
You'd
steaks because
assume,
Omaha
right?
steak.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd make an assumption. So, and it was great. Let me go ahead and say it was great that the guys over at Nebraska Firearms Owners Association. No, ah, what was Nebraska's organization's name? John Anderson brought me out. Uh,
NOPA, Nebraska, NFOPA, Nebraska Firearms
yep,
Owners.
that's it. Yep. Yeah, so they brought me out to do a diversity shoot out there, and of course, I wanted to eat at a steakhouse. They take me to Texas Roadhouse. I'm like, son of a biscuit. They're like,
Oh,
yeah, that's the
yeah,
best.
yeah.
I was like, okay. I mean, again, great steak, but and this is
Here,
an assumption on my part, and nobody else's, that I figured it'll be like Omaha would have multiple great steakhouses. When I went to Arizona, there was no, oh, I can't wait to eat the famous Arizona fill in the blank because there was just none.
yeah.
Uh, I went to the taco place. Actually, I walked away from the place I was staying and ran across a weed shop that had taco day. So I had tacos at a weed shop, and that was awesome. And then I went to Pollo Loco,
Yeah,
and
that's a
then I
chain,
went,
but it's a
yeah, and
local.
that's a chain. And then I hit Whataburger, and y'all need to be slapped, and that place needs to be burned to the ground. And also Jack in the Box,
I think that's
and not
Texas.
because,
Yeah, not Jack in the Box, but
well, Whataburger, yeah, but it was one there, and that was close because I wasn't bothering going to Texas for NRA that year. So I ordered Whataburger, and I was like, they might as well name it just a burger because there was nothing really great about it. So if you live in a place and you wonder what Whataburger tastes like, if you wonder what Whataburger tastes like, and you have a Checkers or Rallies or a Sonic, same.
I kind of like Sonic. Yeah,
Uh,
I think the big thing about
yeah.
Whataburger is that they're open 24/7. So back in the day, it was either Jack in the Box or Whataburger, and they're different. So that's how they both stayed in
Okay.
business. But
Yeah.
they're not like
Yeah.
one's better than the other. They're just different, and they had a different
Yeah.
menu. So
Yeah.
that's how
Because
they stayed in business.
I'm not pooping on it like, oh my god, it was horrible. No, but with all the hype you get because it's a regional place, and people
Oh, and then
and
they had
nostalgia.
breakfast. I think before other places got into doing breakfast, they like always had breakfast. So that was another like I remember being out at like 3 in the morning on my way to some place, and it's like, oh, there's a Whataburger. I can get
Okay.
food.
What was the other place? In and Out. In and Out Burger was another one that they made a big deal about. So I finally ate in one of those at Shot Show. And again, it's just a regional burger place, bro. Oh, we have a secret menu. Don't make it a secret. It ain't that great. Go ahead and tell everybody about it. It's just a burger joint. Uh,
We had I didn't like it. That's one reason I quit eating this shit. But there was a place when I was a kid that we would go to every once in a while, like on a special occasion or every so often, where
hmm
it was a fit chicken farm, and you would go to this chicken farm, and I mean, they made the shit out of fried chicken. Like they made a lot of fried chickens, obviously, because it was
Nice.
this massive place. When you, anyway, it was this
Ew.
massive place. So I assume that when you're talking about a steakhouse in Nebraska, that yeah, you would go to like drive out of town a little ways, get to some whatever the fuck a lot, a slot, what do you call like a cow farm is called ranch, and then drive into some like really big ranch house, and then have like people cooking the shit out of cows in the center and pigs probably, and then carving the shit out of it, some kind of big buffet type of thing where you go up and decide what kind of cow you want because they're going to have the whole cow cooking there, and then all the sides, and then you sit down, right? Like or maybe they bring that stuff over to you. But we do have that in Tucson now that I'm saying that. Like maybe that's where I get that idea that more elaborate version or more classy version of like the good the kind of uh, themed steakhouse here that's like a local place. But anyway, I figured it'd be something like that where like you go out there and you maybe even get valet parking because they're going to drive your car way far away because there's so many people there. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, you get like the best steak you've ever fucking ate, and it's huge and all the sides are amazing. That's what I figured it would be like going to a
Yep.
place where steaks are made just because they've had their whole entire existence to make steakhouses a thing, right? Like that's what steakhouses are emulating. But maybe I'm just building it up because they're always trying to make it seem like we're emulating this, but does that even ever exist?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I've seen it. And I was like, dude, I fell for the okey doke. I fell for the marketing. It's like, no, it's just like any other place. You go to the steak houses that have chains. Um, and I mean, it was good, but again, it was not what what I imagined? Like Ruth Chris quality at a strip mall steak place or something. Because, the food was, being made right there. The cows are there. I was wrong.
Yeah,
Still
and
good
either
though.
way, like either I want a cow fresh right off, kill it this morning, I want to eat it tonight, or the other way around. Like, well, you've got all the cows you want, so these cows have been here for 6 months or however long you age a cow for.
Yeah,
Because I know
aged.
people
Yeah,
like eating
aged
that.
meat.
Yeah, but either way, another Glenn question. My next Glenn question is this is from Alan Anchor. Ladysmiths worth collecting? I'm going to say heck yeah, because everybody always doesn't like them. So I think they always end up being lower value. I know a bunch of people that would collect them over the years, and they really like shooting them. They're kind of like a mid usually, right? Like a good compromise usually.
Well, it falls down to what are you collecting them for? If you're collecting them for your own enjoyment, then shoot, collect Mosin the Gants. Collect anything you want for your own enjoyment. If you're going to collect them because of resale value, yeah, you're going to be disappointed. So yeah, 100% jump into it and have fun.
Well, I don't know. I think that I don't know. I think that if you would have been buying these things back in the day when they were like, regular gun was 125 and the Lady Smith was 75 because somebody was buying it, uh,
Hmm.
then now they'd probably be worth a fortune. And that's the other thing is it's kind of like um, they're when they make these things, if they make 1,000 revolvers a year, only 200 of them were Lady Smiths, where the popular ones they make 800. Well, I guess whatever the math is, they make a lot more of the other models though. So once you get into people who are trying to make collections, the Lady Smiths get tougher to get a hold of. But I don't know. Can't have it both ways. They're either going to be expensive because they're hard to get a hold of, in which case, why bother collecting them? Or if you're getting them when they're cheap. So I would have said, I guess the question, to answer the question, obviously, if you get them cheap, yes. But they probably, I think the heyday might be gone for those because they're probably more expensive or as expensive as any other, you know, rare Smith at this point, or less common
Wait a minute.
Smith.
We talking a Lady Smith revolver or just a Lady Smiths as a line? Because they had semi-auto Lady Smiths and stuff too, right?
Sure, yeah. But
Yeah.
usually it's like, I don't know, it's not every model, but they'll take some model and they'll go, okay, here's the medium size, like the whatever caliber or whatever it is, and then they'll go, okay, we'll make it pink or white or whatever, and now it's Lady Smith, and they engrave Lady Smith all
Okay.
over it, and then essentially no dude ever wanted to buy it anymore. and a bunch of ladies got them for Christmas, I guess. And then they went, oh. So they're sitting in some safe with somebody like, I got this for Christmas from my son or something. And I don't know, probably 6 or 8 ladies bought it because they thought it was cool. And then the rest of them just sat in gun shops. So that's why I'm guessing no matter what the model, I think all the ladysmiths, they made fewer of them, and probably a lot of them sat in gun shops. But I mean, I definitely am not on my radar, so it's not like I can remember every ladysmith that came through. But I get the feeling if you were paying attention to them, especially if you went to gun shows and went to a lot of gun shops, you could probably sniff out the good deals on ladysmiths and grab them when people undervalue them or disregard them.
Yeah, so we're doing the podcast. We're recording the podcast tonight. We got Mike Sedini from Walk to Talk America on as a guest. Um, Clayton just posted a picture up. Co-host Clayton just posted a picture up with him and Mike Sedini from an event. But I think he used what do you call it when he did it. Um, it was some kind of effect on the picture, and it just looked like a gay couple.
And it was a
He just
I
posted.
didn't help
It,
nothing.
it had it has an effect on the a kind of a what do you call that? Uh, Damn filter. It has a filter where it fuzzed out the background, and it just looks like two guys that are crushing on each other. But it's going to be fun having Mike on talking about the things he talks about with suicide prevention and mental health and just helping gun owners out.
Yeah, being a presence for the gun community at events. It sounds like they're becoming that role more and more. You're talking like a
Well,
glamour
yeah,
shots photo.
yeah, it really does. I was like, nice bro. I just sent him a I just sent him a message. Nice bro back photo.
So I was having a coughing fit there. I had to drink something. I don't know what happened. I got something in my throat or something, like a hair in my throat. But as I was kind of talking there, I started thinking more and more that that could be a thing to do. Like where they're at, they could jump between Phoenix and Tucson and go check out gun
Hmm.
shops. Like they could take like a day and go check out gun shops. I can't remember anymore. I mean, it's probably I can't even really have to guess if Tucson has like 16 gun shops or maybe 25 when we're kind of swell up.
Hmm.
Phoenix probably has 40 or more at this point. I'm trying to get, I can't even keep up with how big Phoenix is. So, guessing how many gun shops, there's probably like 40 gun shops up there. So, you can imagine like you could probably uh, kind of go take a day every once in a while, especially if you were into collecting. And because there's hardly any gun shows and gun shows aren't the same as they used to be, you could go to all these different gun shops with some money and scoop up, like I say, all the stuff that's undervalued or disregarded because there are going to be, or, that's what they call that? Like that's buying and selling is always a thing because there's always people that don't know what they got or don't appreciate what they've got. So
Hmm.
you just got to pick a thing. Like it could be old, like Clover likes old nylon revolvers or whatever those things are, like old fashioned revolver or not revolver, old fashioned 22 rifles. He probably likes revolvers too, though. But so he has a bunch of these old 22 revolvers, or rifles. He knows all about them. So if he goes trolling gun shops, he's seeing gold where other people are not understanding the nuance between them. So you do have that potential. And I don't know, I haven't been at gun shops in a while, but that was definitely one of the fun things I would do, or enjoying, one of the one of the ways I got enjoyment from going to all the as many gun shops as I've been to is just I didn't always buy everything. I don't have that kind of money, but just seeing the deals, like the collection I could have made. I should have done that. I never thought about it. But the collection I could have made just going to gun shops, especially stuff I do know about, is like SKSs and AKs and stuff. Not like I know a shit ton about SKSs, but I know an original good SKS when I see one, and somebody that's selling one for $135 when they're worth 700. I can see that when I see it. And I didn't have the money to grab all of those, but just having that, whatever you want to say, like those lenses as you go around to gun shops, you could probably pick Lady Smiths, I guess is what I'm getting at, and do that. Just go around looking for
Hmm.
the best deals on Lady Smiths and get a pretty decent collection. The tough part would be, and this is what happens to me as a collector, is when you get to the point where like I only need these three to fill my collection and then I'm done, or like I need this one and it's like the toughest one to get. Like you can't call your shots when you're scooping up bargains. So you end up getting like the potential like, oh, I found another one, but I've already got two of them. Do I buy it because I know it's undervalued, or do I leave it here? Or something else. And then you have to decide if you're going to start bartering these things, if you're going to start buying two or three or four of the ones you don't need, because that'll fund the one you can pay a little bit more now for the one you do need. And, that's with guns, it becomes a pain in the ass to do all that. With something like knives or something, that's a lot easier to deal with. Anyway, I just wanted to follow through on that because, like I say, I had a coughing fit there. Lawmaker has a third question, which brings me to my third question. First, second, or third gen semi-auto Smiths, they're best. I don't know what I'm trying to think of what a first gen is. Probably have to look it up. But second gen,
I did.
huge bore angle,
Oh,
so I'm gonna have to pick third for me because I can't think of what the first was.
are we in the third now?
Yeah, I'm assuming
Or
M&Ps
no?
and stuff are the fifth or the third, right? Or unless there's more generations than that, and I'm just not paying attention. Let me type that
Like,
in.
yeah. I like. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it'll happen. There we go. And then click this, and then they have to actually. There we go. First, second, and third gen auto Smiths. Are we going to find a picture? That's the tough part about
Yeah,
a
that's
search.
what I'm doing.
Is this? There we go. Lucky Gunner made this thing. Open image in a new tab. I'm a big fan of infographics.
Hmm.
Smith and
Yeah.
Wesson for
So
third. So your first gen
yeah.
would be 54 through 82, and that's those two models, I guess. Your second gen is 79 through 88. Your third gen is through 2010, and I guess we're in the fourth gen now. I'm still going to pick. I don't like Smith and Wesson semi-autos, so I'm not good. I'm going to go ahead
Hmm.
and pass Tony. I don't like any of
Yeah.
these. They
I'm
have
saying
for access for me.
I don't like any of them. Didn't like them when they were new. Didn't like them when they were new. Like the modern stuff right now. We're talking semi-autos. Like the modern semi-autos.
Yeah,
I
same here.
don't
I've
like the
always
old
liked
school
their
semi-autos.
revolvers. I got no problem with Smith and Wesson, but I do not like the high
Yep.
bore axis. They look goofy to me, and they're so narrow. Like that's the other problem. Like, where do you get off making such a narrow fucking gun? Uh,
Yep.
Nobody was carrying back
uh,
then, so there was no need to make a carry gun, and they kept making carry guns. So it was like, I don't want a carry gun if I'm just going to the range. So they didn't appeal to me. Um, and I also think they were
Nothing
trying to make them
about it.
lightweight. Like, I don't want a lightweight gun. I'm going to the range with. I don't want to, I want the weight to take
Oh,
care of my recoil.
because even then, it's not as if I didn't like semi-automatic firearms. You know what I mean? I mean, I liked. I mean, depends on how far we go back, right? Browning High Power, 1911, obviously. The Berettas, those were all cool guns. Again, depending on what year we went back to, Sig P210, the original Sig P210. So I liked, and there were good looking, in my opinion, semi-automatic metal firearms before Glock came along. But I was never looked at the Smiths going, I really want one of those. I mean, that's the crazy part. I'd look at a freaking Ruger P series gun before I looked at a freaking Smith when it came to semi-autos. I just didn't like the look. Now, as somebody who's into guns now, yeah, I would, if I wanted one, I would get, particular one for a particular reason, like the 10 millimeter that the FBI adopted, just for nostalgia's sake. Again, if money was just that thing, like I'd never save up for it and make a conscious effort of looking for, the FBI 10 millimeter Smith and Wesson. But if money was an object, if somebody's going to send me something, I think that was cool because of what it was. Maybe the other thing I'd get is the first Smith and Wesson semi-auto adopted by the Illinois State Police back in the '60s.
Yeah, you've
That would be
mentioned that
something
one
cool.
before. That would be a cool, like, whatever, like placeholder for that whatever that
Yeah,
what you
that model,
that
that
ship.
that gun. But I'd be just as excited to get a Model 19 Smith and Wesson revolver, and Model 10 Smith revolvers that were used by almost every state police and police department in America, or a significant number of them. That would be on my wish list before the Smith semi-autos.
If I had to pick Smith revolvers, it'd be tough because you could go all the way back to the Smith M&P World War II,
Hmm.
like what they issued to whoever they cops and police or who they give revolvers to back then, like the undercover operatives probably, and then like pilots. I think I was thinking of, and then probably cops or MPs or whatever they're called,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
those
But
45 ACP, the 45 ACPs they gave out during World War I, and they made their way into World War II. Those would be cool. What, the M1917s?
oh, I don't think I've thought of them. Yeah, that would be neat. I was thinking it's just a
Yeah.
38, like their model. They look like a Model 10, but they call them M&Ps, and
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's why they call the new ones M&Ps. But
Yeah, I'd love it.
it's
Original
just
Chief
all the
Special would be cool.
snakes. I'll take any J frame, pretty much a snake. The Even though I
Ooh,
don't
ooh.
like it, I would want their plastic one. If I had a collection of them, I'd want to include their plastic one, which I don't like.
Hold on. Smith and Wesson Night. What was it? Nightshade, Nightmare, Night Guard. Yeah, I'd want one. I would want some of those. Remember the Night Guards, the scandium frames, Smiths?
Yeah, I don't think I own mine anymore. I owned a titanium, maybe it was scanning. I don't remember. I owned one that because whenever I was younger and was just thinking about getting my own revolver, I couldn't afford the ones that you could hold up with two balloons or something. So
Hmm.
one of those came in the shop. I think that came in the shop. The guy bought it. He went home. I mean, I don't think he came. I think he came home came back the next day, or it was later on the
Hmm.
same day. But he came back very quickly. I was like, I don't like this anymore. I don't want it. And I don't. He said I didn't even shoot it. I think he was getting in trouble from his wife or something for having it. So
Mm.
whatever reason, the shop didn't want it back, or he didn't like the price. And anyway, let's say he bought it for, I don't remember. Let's say he bought it for 500, and they're like, well, we'll give you 300 because that's probably what would happen. Uh, and
Hmm.
he was like, blah, 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 blah. You're like, well, fuck you, guy. Like, we don't know what you did to it. Plus, these guns are only worth
Hmm.
that. We're like here to do business. We're not here to fucking make you a bunch of money selling guns. So the guy left, and I think I ran outside and was like, hey, I'll give you 325 or something. And he's like, well, fuck it. It's more than I was going to get inside.
Yeah, smooth.
But yeah. So anyway, I had one for a while, and I liked it, but it's man, you might as well just. It's like saying somebody swing a crowbar, and I'm going to catch it without a glove, and just do that
Oh
over
yeah,
and over again. It's just abusive. They're neat. I
yeah,
like them.
but
They're just abusive.
hmm yeah, that's what I want because they're neat. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like this was a snapshot in time for Smith that they had this entire series of lightweight guns that really didn't sell, and they ended up pulling because well, firing a 357 Magnum out of a 23 or 24-ounce pistol didn't seem like a great idea. Taurus has that going with, I forgot what their light pistol, Light Hunter, maybe, or some crap like that. I was talking to one of the guys over at Taurus, and I'm like, yo, this thing is creepily lightweight. And he was like, yeah, you think that's bad? Wait till you pull the trigger on it. And it was a 44 Magnum. And I was like, well, if you loaded 44 Special, he was like, I'm talking about firing 44 Special. I won't shoot a 44 Magnum in it. It's like, okay. So he was like, "Yeah, that lightweight physics is still a thing, bro." Yeah, I had a Colt Detector special for about 2 seconds.
I can't get over the having to pull the thing on a Colt. I like it when I was a kid, but once I'm actually shooting it, I like pushing the Smith and Wesson better than pulling a Colt, and that's why I end up liking
Hmm.
Caruso. Just rip offs of Smith and Wessons.
Hmm. Well, it's not rip-offs. They actually work with Smith.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. But they're like the same
Yeah, yeah.
motion. You push the
Hmm.
thing right away.
Yep.
I just
Yeah.
noticed when
So when it comes to go ahead.
I don't know. Go
Sorry.
ahead. Finish your thought there.
Oh no, I just when it comes down to Smith, or when it comes to their semi-autos, I like their modern guns better. Modern semi-autos, the polymer better. And now that they're starting to do steel versions of their polymer guns, which I think is funny, I still like those better than the classic Smiths 1, 2, or 3 generation. And when it comes to their revolvers, I like them. And there's always somebody go, the old ones are better than the newer ones because pin barrels, this, that, and the other, and they give reasons. But we're in a modern day now, and they take shortcuts to make money. That the classics didn't do, not because they didn't want to make money, just the technology to make them cheaper wasn't there. It's not like they got rid of a bunch of people that went, yeah, we're not going to make quality guns anymore. We're going to, put profits above everything else. They built those guns with a profit margin in mind, and it made it the way they built them. But as soon as they figured out a way to make them with either more of the same profit margin, or quicker, to build them quicker, more efficiently, they did that. That's every manufacturer,
We
almost.
also are almost always exclusively thinking of the victors, like the successful. Even if it wasn't as successful in comparison to other guns, everything that we think of was as successful enough to be produced, manufactured
Hmm.
in production. Because in reality, there's probably, I don't know what the percentages would be, but I'm guessing more guns that were created, theorized, you know prototyped, and then decided
Never
against,
got made.
right? Like
Hmm.
shit canned. And then every once in a while, something kind of craps out, like the Zip or something comes along where it got made, but then immediately like failed.
Wah, wah. Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
Like no delay, immediately.
Um, that's a whole nother conversation. We could have that one sometime though. But I just noticed that Gunwater had said, I have an agent with a factory hammer shroud. And here's an interesting thing. That's probably something that would be maybe too annoying or too much to have it like a diversity shoot. But at the same time, think about how interesting it would be. But I was going to ask your opinion on. So you've got revolver, let's say a J frame ish size, small revolver that's large enough to handle 38 or 357, 5 shots, but small enough to still be pocket carry. So you've got
Hmm.
small revolver, and now your option is hammer exposed. You use your thumb and the hammer's there. You've got your bobbed hammer, which is the hammer is still there and you can get at it, but it's definitely cut back and shrouded. I probably should bring a picture up. And then you've got your shrouded hammer where the hammer still exists, but now it's got wings up from the frame so that you can only get to the very nub of the hammer, but you can still pull the hammer back if you needed to or drop it if you wanted to. Then you have shroud or enclosed hammer, where it's essentially a double action revolver now, where the hammer is you can't get to it, you can't cock it, and you cannot decock it. You have to just pull it for double action only. Of those, however many options that is, which is your preference?
I like having the option of a hammer. I mean, I've thought about it. But when it depends on the handgun, because if it has a horrible double action trigger pull, you know what I mean? It's better to have single action available to you. But if it has a very smooth rolling double action, you can do double action only and not worry about the gun itself snagging. But I really haven't had a snag problem with everything. I love that people act like the only thing a gun can snag a gun is a hammer. So having a hammer, I don't see as a detriment. I see it as one of those things they use more for marketing than anything else. It's not like they don't have 90-degree angles on a Glock. So I go with the hammer just personally. I go with the hammer just for the option of thumb cocking if I have to. But I totally understand any other answer too. But I don't pocket carry. I use a holster.
Yeah, you're right. There's probably no right answer as much as like reasons for the person's answer, right? I can't believe there's not a
Hmm.
good graphic in 2025. There's not a good graphic for the types of hammers on a revolver. This is probably this picture we're going to get where somebody just dropped a couple on a desk. So your standard hammer, your bobbed hammer. So they just basically grind some of it off, but it's still there. This one is, I would call a shrouded hammer, so that there's still the bobbed hammer. It's just that it's built up a little bit. Maybe these are both just bobbed hammers. Then this is what I would call the, whatever they call it, but that hammer is still there. Like there's a groove that you can, what do you call that? Like there's a uh,
Uh-huh. Where
little
you can
thing you can
cock it
slide.
with your thumb.
Yeah, you can like cock it and decock it with your thumb still, but there's no way it's snagging on anything. And then this one is just a
Hmm.
completely concealed hammer. This says 5 types, so I'm missing one there. This is from Washington Gun Review. Is that lawyer? Yeah, it is. So
Oh, okay, cool.
this is called Dragon Tail. Long, the tail of the dragon, putting up stuff on the internet to make your law firm, in this case, pop up on a search engine. Well played. So the gun
Hmm.
is fired by. Does it talk about him? No. Lame.
Oh wow,
So,
they put the persons on.
huh?
So one of the ranges I work with just sent out an email
Oh,
about their Memorial Day special, and they actually put the prices in the email of the firearms of the chart that they had there the other day, which surprised me. Um, but it's still Jersey pricing. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well,
Really?
gotta be in business.
Hey, listen, they just opened up, and I get it. And I'm looking for revolvers on here, and there aren't any. But hey, man, it's a new shop, young dude, young owners of the gun shop, and I'm just happy to be working with them, and that's cool. We had we had a packed room. I think we had over 25 attendees, plus others that came to the event. So we had about 30 people in the room. We had one of the organizations at the event that helped register voters because I told them they could come. Actually, I invited them to be there to register, but then like leave the politics out of it. All we want to do is get people registered. I'll handle, you know what I mean? I'll handle that part of it. I want you registered to vote whether you're Democrat or Republican because we need registered Democrats to change their party's position on gun control. We need registered Republicans to get the Republican Party off their ass and actually passing Pro 2A legislation, as we watched them fail last week. Yet again, with no opposition, somehow the Republicans can still pull a loss when it comes to fire Pro 2A stuff. And I put
No
that out there.
opposition,
Nobody
no
gets.
consequences. So you can't just go like, like, oh, it's the Democrats. Like, nope.
Hmm.
The only ones we can blame are the constituents, people that haven't complained to them for not doing
Hey,
more or following
I,
through.
I
And
I
say,
I like that better. Yeah, no opposition and no consequences. The stupidest reasons were given. It was like, oh well, if we use this, the Democrats will use budget stuff to pass gun control. I'm like, what's stopping them, bro? Like what? We got to wait for them to strike first? No, strike when the iron's hot. Again, you have everything and you choose to do nothing. And this is why I tell people concentrate on your own party because I hear a lot of this. Democrats need to talk to their people and get them to be pro gun. And I'm like, yeah, Republican Party need to talk to their people and get them to be pro gun.
yeah. I mean, we know the Democrats' position, and we're trying to solve
Hmm.
it. But yeah, it's when you get backstabbed. I don't know the way to put it. When you get, what's the opposite of backstabbing is when somebody watches you get stabbed and they don't do shit about it. Like that's the same. Like the lack of fucking doing something is, you know, as bad as the bleeding out. You're still bleeding out. The person,
Yeah.
when somebody stabbed you, but somebody also watched it all happen, just stood there.
Yeah, I just look at them as all garbage human beings, bro. That you have to stay on their necks. It's your job as a citizen, and if you don't do any of that, then it's on you.
That's an interesting perspective. Gunswire said the party is top down. The Democrat Party is top down. Registered Democrats have zero say or influence on party lines. I'm sure it feels that way, and it probably, in a lot of ways, is stacked. But I mean, what the fuck? What isn't stacked, right? Like that doesn't mean start. You don't work at it. And the way you change an unbalanced system is by changing the balance, right? By changing the scenario, the rules, or change the variables.
All right. Oh, and I'm not attacking. I'm sorry, I didn't hear who said this. I'm not attacking them. This is my thing. Stop it. It's We have the internet now. We have podcasts now. I'm sorry, but we're to the point now that there can be an upswing, there can be an uprising, there could be something actual grassroots that affect the party, and people choose to be distracted and they choose to not participate because
And yeah,
everything is more important.
that's awesome because you're right. Like self censoring, right? Like
Hmm.
you decide to not say anything, but in a void, a whisper is a fucking shout, right? Like so, all it takes is for a bunch of fucking commotion and it all to kind of fall to the ground, which kind of happens naturally in the scheme of things. Like all the different, no matter who's no matter what your perception is on the government's out to get us or whatever, like I don't disagree necessarily. I just disagree that they're all working together to be against us. They've all got their individual greediness or whatever, and they're all playing their own little fucking games. But in reality, it's just
Hmm.
all a bunch of people fucking abusing a system that allows it to be abused until we fix things in ways that makes it more difficult. Then we're just susceptible to that. But anyway, it's a bunch of things happening, and the chaos of all that means that every once in a while there's going to be a lull. Like every once in a while, it's just going to be at a, everything just kind of takes a break. And every once in a while, that happens at Christmas or supposed to, it's something like that, like, where we can anticipate it. But in general, it just
Hmm.
happens, right? Like just so, out of a sudden, everything just comes to like the wind just stops blowing, all the ships start moving or stop moving. And in those times of quiet and void, like I say, a whisper can be a shout. And all it takes is for everyone to be like going, okay, we're ready for the next thing. What's the next thing? And you just happen to have been consistently saying this. It gets heard, sparks up. That's how virality happens. But you can't have it happen out of fucking nothing. Like you have to be doing something to create the momentum,
Hmm.
doing something to create the spark. And you can consider that once in a lifetime or something, but at the same time, it could be the logical consequence of consistent, deliberate effort, right? Like, that at some point there's going to be a result to this, and you never know when that result might be, perhaps. But anyway, I think that we're saying the same thing, right? Like, putting effort into it, even if it looks like it's stacked against you, because you never know when that one little pebble knocks everything fucking down.
Well, and also, you never know when the momentum you've built up because you've been doing something the entire time catches on. Nothing like being a 10-year overnight success. But you have to put in work. People want to be on a winning team. A lot of people don't want to be at the beginning when you're catching losses, but they want to be there when you win. Well, you have to have put in the work so you can be in a winning position. And a lot of people don't want to participate in the process. Now, I've told this on this thing before. Working as I have with the election polls, I've had people not show up at primaries to the point that in a 565 person district, we had 25 people vote the entire day, both parties. I'm like, that's pathetic. That's no one's fault but your own. And you can swing a lot of things by showing up when that few people were there.
Exactly. And that's the sad part is they win. Right? The people who want everybody to be lethargic about it, like they win when that kind of crap happens. And no one gets upset about it. Like, people go, crap, damn it, maybe I should have voted. but they don't get upset to the point where like, you know what, I'm fucking running, or I'm going to support so and so for running next time. But I'm
Yeah,
not saying it
it's
never
like,
happens because we have a system that's open and there's nothing stopping us from doing it at this point. Like, there's no fascist telling us we can't. There's no fucking lock on the door that's too complicated to open. It's just people are fat and happy. Like, yeah, I'm fucking cool. Like, it sucks, but,
you,
still fucking got my soda or my whatever else,
yep.
and I'm still watching whatever on TV or whatever your placebo is or whatever, right?
You still got your Netflix. You still have your entertainment. You still can afford food. It's like you've not got to the point that you're desperate yet, and it's obvious because you'll make a change when that happens. And one of the reasons I mean, it's been written about. It's out there. And I'm saying nothing that's conspiracy theory at all. It's been proven. As long as you keep the people divided and you keep them distracted, what is it? Bread and circuses, they said in Rome. And it's the same thing. Cable TV, your internet, your social media, as long as that's out there, people aren't upset. But as soon as their ox gets scored, the thing that's important to them comes to an end. All of a sudden, they're like, how did we end up here? And it's like, well, you have people that's been screaming about the First Amendment and Second Amendment your entire life, and you blew them off because you didn't want to hear it. Oh, and Fourth Amendment and just other amendments as your freedoms have slowly been taken away using every failure that the government itself failed at to take your freedoms. 9/11 happens, they passed the Patriot Act. Oh, it's going to stop terrorism, except they used it against the American people into the war on drugs that they lost. But that's what they said was the reason they had to pass the Patriot Act to stop terrorists. The war on drugs kicked off in 1970, took more and more of our freedom until it put a bounty on the head of drug dealers because the cops and the municipality would get to take their stuff and sell it off for cash. Where you think all these freaking nice cars that your police department has, the undercover car, yeah, that was a drug dealer's car. Um, but that was the failure of them to control the drug trafficking. And then you can go as far back as what? The problems, oh, we need SWAT teams because we having race riots. Well, the reason you had race riots is because after the Civil War, you didn't give all people all their rights. That's where the riots came from. You had gangsters during the Prohibition era because you stupidly banned alcohol. The government did all these things, and including the NFA. All these bans happened because the government took your rights away, and the government failed. And then their answer to the failure was to take your rights, and they've done it continually. And you've
Mm,
had people like me.
to price your
You
rights
got
away,
people.
I was just watching somebody talk about this the other day, and I went to look.
Hmm.
So they didn't take rights away with the NFA necessarily; they just priced them away. So at the time, a suppressor was $5 or $7 from Maxim. So
Hmm.
that's how much a suppressor cost, depending on what caliber it was. That was shipped in the mail, so $5 or
Yeah.
$7. Then they put a $200 tax on it. So they didn't say you can't have them. They just said you can't have them unless you have $200 tax on a $7 item, and that's a differentiation because that's a,
Now, yeah, but that differentiation doesn't make a difference to most people, and that's why I don't bring it up because Jersey
no,
says
no,
you
no.
can
I
have
hear you.
this,
I
that,
hear
and
you.
the other.
I'm just throwing that out
Yeah,
there. But
yeah,
I got
yeah,
a
100%.
we got Honda
Oh, I
out there.
get what you're saying.
Do you know who E Honda 420 is?
Yeah, yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while since
I was
NEA.
gonna say. I remember back when Honda was still talking about guns. So good to see Honda out there. Hopefully, I keep seeing nothing but motorcycle pictures from them. Last every time I see something from them, it's a motorcycle picture. But yeah, we got all kinds
Yeah,
of people joining us today. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. As he
no,
says, we're talking in language.
and yeah, I get frustrated over it because I try to get people motivated. And I probably said this because I've said everything before. Um, I was on a podcast and they asked me if you could have dinner or whatever with anybody, just to have conversation, but dinner with anybody alive or dead, who would it be? And I said Martin Luther King Jr. And the reason is, how in the heck did he deal with doing what everybody with common effing sense goes, yeah, that makes sense. This is America. People should have equal rights. Like that's what he was fighting for, and there were people fighting against him. And it's not that there's people fighting against him. The Americans in the middle didn't do shit about it. Like most Americans, it's not like everybody went, yes, he's right, let's march. People were like, yeah, I got to go to work. I got a ball game. I got to take my kids here. I'm not really going to participate. But he's right, but I'm not going to do anything to help it along. for decades. And then all of a sudden it reaches a point where now, 1968 and the civil rights bills get passed and all that stuff. But it's like, what took you so long to do the right thing? Everybody, and I think Jordan Peterson says this. Everybody thinks when they look at stuff, it's from the perspective of the victor and the good guy. And meanwhile, no, most people just sit down and let horrible stuff happen. In real life, most people sit around and let horrible stuff happen and do nothing about it. And then feign ignorance. Oh, I didn't know that was going on. Really? You didn't know people didn't have rights in New Jersey or other places? The reason that you can't have a smart gun is because New Jersey passed legislation that once one becomes available anywhere in America, every one of our guns has to be smart guns in the state. There's been multiple shows about it. We talk about it all the time. When you quickly go into your favorite freaking, what do you call those people? Gun LARPer on to hold them accountable for the things they do.
So what the heck? I don't know. It makes me. Are we back now again? It's still running that
Yep.
contest. It's just that it's not saying anything about the contest since I have it like this. But it makes me. I don't know how to explain it. I have to do a different. Um, uh,
Mm.
they call it like a pro scene to get to this giveaway thing again. Back like three different screens, so it's really confusing. Now I get back to the regular comments. Okay. So you didn't join nothing but a giveaway, and since I don't know what people might want, I figured I would just give away what people might need. So, bagrisers out there, let us know what you might want. I got a bunch of shit over here, so I can send you something. Um, that being said, I just was also seeing if that giveaway thing works. Obviously, I need to get rid of the word join. That seemed to make it unclear, but um, we'll do more giveaways
Mhm.
as we go forward here. But we're at almost 3 hours, and you did say you've got another
Yep.
podcast, so let's not take your whole night. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
What's going on with Diversity Shoot, though? What's coming up next?
We got another diversity shoot coming up next month at Gun for Hire Range. I'll be posting that today. I'm planning on making some videos. I want to get word out. Oh, if you guys can go right now over to, well, not right now, but you know what I'm saying. Was it Locked, Cocked, and Unfiltered, and actually subscribe? We're 15 subscribers short from being able to do YouTube Live. So if you guys could go over and join, subscribe to us so we can actually do live shows on YouTube, we really appreciate it because it doesn't take that many, but people have to know about us, and that's what we're using it. Um, Diversity shoots, we're having a bunch of them. They're really cool. Um, we've been selling out left and right. I'm trying to promote multiple at one time so people can buy other tickets. Also, I use, if you can follow me and spread stuff, I really appreciate it. Either on X, that's second for everyone. On IG, as Simon Says Train, and the second is for everyone. And Tony Simon on Facebook. That would really help. Just share stuff. It gets word out. It helps us out a lot. Um, I don't think I'll ever be able to monetize this stupid thing. my page, because everything I do, it violates community standard. Even when I tried to comply and I erased the videos they told me to erase, they just put up five more videos that I wasn't complying with. So I stopped, even attempting to comply with their bullcrap. So please support us. We're doing good work. We're growing a community. At Thursday's event, we had an entire family come for like the fifth time, and every time they come, they bring new family members. I'm talking about from their kids to their mother to their uncles, and then friends and coworkers. And this is just one family, and that happens a lot. And it is because the work we've done, or it's because even the promotion other people have done that don't even live here. The crazy part, everybody knows somebody from Jersey because people from Jersey can't wait to get the hell out of Jersey once they can retire or get a job somewhere else. But so that means you probably know somebody who has family in this state. So please promote it. They see it. They might tell their relatives about it if they see it on social media, because that's happened a significant amount of times. So many times that I can't blow it off as odd. It just happens. So if you can share our stuff, really appreciate it. Again, subscribe to the podcast. Go ahead, man.
I was just going to throw in there. It's all a mechanism. So when somebody like DJ, right? DJ's out here posting a bunch of links for us. Thanks for that. When he posts something on his whatever it is, Facebook, X, Instagram, whatever, and then Gunswater posts something, and then I post something. That's three different states that post something about what Tony's doing in New Jersey. Now, when somebody in New York asks the internet, blah, 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 what should I do? I want to do something about guns. It looks around and it goes, well, this guy's had three different links from all different. So maybe this guy from New York is going to, appreciate this link. So that's how we help. Is like, it's not like just because we put a link out there, we expect somebody in Nebraska or Arizona to attend a diversity shoot. But when the internet is trying to determine what should we offer to these people who are near Tony, what we're doing is stacking the deck. We're helping to add more and more connections, which the internet uses as currency or a value to associate with all the potential things they could recommend when we're helping Tony out like this, or Brooke. We're about to talk about Brooke's show. When we help things out on the internet, or Sharon's Give Send Go. Like, it's not like every time we put a link out there, we expect to get a subscriber for Tony or a $5 donation. But what we're doing is adding another brick in the ramp that makes that possible. And when we talked about viral and shit earlier, it's that kind of effort consistently that makes it even possible to go viral. But it actually welcomes the virality because it puts a fucking ramp right up to Tony's shit by the time we're done.
100%. And I appreciate it. We burned through. We burned through over nearly 1,000 rounds of nine Thursday night. We cracked open two boxes of 500 plus. The federal the bulk pack boxes of 22. And I had some 5.56, but actually no one bought a 5.56 to the event, which I'm a little bit grateful for, because we had so many new shooters at Thursday's event that, tripping off that 5.56 inside. I know I had a few people flinching, including one of my coworkers finally came out, which I got to give props to her. She was that one friend, that first friend in her friend group that bravely stepped into the breach. You know what I mean? Going to my event for the first time. But I was like, you're going to be fine. I mean, she knows me, my sense of humor and everything else. So she was comfortable coming, but it was still, take somebody to step into something that you might think is full of people that hate people like you, which is all bullcrap and what they want, by the way. But yeah, so it's great. Please help promote what I do, and others like Sharon's Give Send Go. It's really important. And she's a wonderful human being, and she's one of those voices that actually made a difference, not only in her state but nationwide, because people know about her through her social media and the work she did.
And I think there's an
Yep.
effort. There's a value to us as a community coming together to accomplish in this case, the goal of getting her $25,000 for medical expenses for this cancer that's spreading on her. You know, I don't know how to say that. But
Yeah.
you know, it's a fucking bullshit thing to be dealing with. Period, and be able to know that all it takes is a bunch of $5, $10. Here, let me help with that if I've got the ability, and if you don't, then just share it along. And the people that do accomplish that, we win as a community when we're able to do that. We know that that's a weapon in our arsenal, and it is a weapon. It's something that we can weaponize. We can use that when necessary, so that we don't, as individuals, get threatened by, oh, this is going to cost too much, or what if I'm going to lose business doing this, or I don't want to spend too much time on this because I got to spend all my time making money. Uh, so
Hmm.
we can accomplish a lot by this. So I don't think it's a bad effort. And in this case, Sharon is a good person, so we're not just doing it for an opportunity to do something together. We're actually accomplishing good as we consider this an opportunity to work together. And what we come out with is hopefully good news for Sharon on her end, and that ability to then, as a group, let's say that how many people, let's say it takes 50,000 people to get $25,000 raised because everybody puts in 50 fucking cents, right? Like, that's awesome, because
Hmm.
now that's 50,000 people that can look up and go, where do I put my next 50 cents? Where do we drop the next $25,000? What can we accomplish when that's happening? What do politicians look like when we've got money at our discretion as capitalists, when we know how to use our money like that? What do politicians look like? You know what I mean? Or what do we look like to politicians, I guess? Anyway, just a little
Hmm.
something to throw out there that, like, yeah, if you're just like, there's e-begging or some fucking bullshit, like, yeah, whatever, go pass it to the person who asks you this every fucking month, or the person that's always got somebody for you to donate to. No, I think that we should be donating. The reason I started on this little idea is that when you mentioned we've all got friends and family in New Jersey, we're a country of 50 states that can do whatever the fuck they want. And that's awesome. Like, I'm not trying to change that. I think it's better that we have states that can do what they want with a loose federal government rather than a strict federal government that tells everybody what you're going to fucking do. So I like the idea that we have all these states. However, when a state starts being lame, or the 9 states that are really shitty with gun laws, we have fucking all the rest of those other states, 40 whatever, one, depending on how you want to count, 40 something other states that aren't lame on gun laws. And it's something that we, again, have the ability to do something about. We don't need the federal government, or we don't need some organization, or, well, an organization could help a lot, but we don't need anybody to tell us that we have the authority to do this. We have the ability to do this. And we can get together. And, for example, Massachusetts, who I think is probably the worst right now, if we went to Massachusetts and thought about all of our families and our business and the products that we buy from Massachusetts, and we all deliberately did something about that. Did I lose my mic?
No, you're gotcha.
Okay, I think it picked a different mic up. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like, I think that we've got a real muscle to flex that we just don't flex very often. And we haven't flexed it.
Hmm.
Once we start flexing that muscle, the game starts changing a bit. And I don't want to just flex our muscle like our voice is louder now. I want to change the game. I want to say, like, guns are normal. Normal people have guns. Let's stop the hype and stop fucking funding the back and forth games here, and end this shit. But anyway. Okay, so ag risers out there, yeah, you won. So because I didn't put a actual prize out there, I just figured I'd ask what you might be in the need of. I got a bunch of stuff. So if there's something you're looking for, something you've seen on the store, something you just want, let me know what you're looking for, because you won the giveaway tonight. Thanks for participating. I don't know if you've got something else. I kind of stopped you as you were talking there to bring up the whole, like, we all can accomplish stuff when we work together if we thought about it.
Yeah, I mean that's just it, dude. Is the motivation, dude. A lot of us, and I do it sometimes too, and I had to correct myself. I concentrate on the negative and the failings we're having, and I somehow sometimes forget the wins we have. We're doing awesome work. We're winning. We have to do more because it is individuals like us. Uh, how do I put this without sounding like an ass? Yeah, I don't care. When you put in work, make it known that you're putting in work, because people want to join winning teams. They want to not, sorry, but people can say what they want, but most people don't want to be the first person somewhere. They don't want to be the first person that arrives at a party. They don't want to be the first person that steps on the moon. They don't want to be the first person that goes to the North Pole. They feel better when they see other people already there and they can join in on something that has momentum already. Let people know that pro freedom movement has momentum. Make them aware that you support this Second Amendment organization, that you're going to this rally, that you're listening to this podcast. Like, promote the things that you're doing that are pro freedom, so other people can maybe join in too, because you don't know who's watching you, because you got friends and neighbors that might be quietly pro gun, or quietly all of a sudden change their mind, and you thought they were blue haired left wing nut jobs, but then they had a situation happen in their private lives that they didn't bother telling you about, but that changed their perspective on something. And they're
Yeah,
looking for a way to step in, and
that's
they're
amazing.
going to come
That's
to you because they know you. Yeah, go ahead.
nothing. I'm just saying that's an amazing point. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, so we have the means to communicate where you don't always have to go to somebody, because I've had people reach to me through DMs that do live in an anti-gun place, have an anti-gun family. They won't make that comment on, your comment section in your social media post, but they might hit you another means. And again, talk about the podcast, talk about the stuff you do, post up links to it. Supporting my podcast by listening to it is awesome. Supporting my podcast by actually posting a link to the shows, even better. Supporting the podcast by donating $1 to it with the Patreon or something, killer. You know what I mean? It all works. Promoting my podcast by telling other people that they could actually sponsor the stuff we do, because people don't know. Like, I could have a damn pizza sponsor. As again, hashtag largest pound for pound gun bunny in America. I should have food sponsors. Shit, Waffle House should be giving me a check. But like, there's ways we can promote that we don't know, but we don't let people know what we do, because really most gun people kind of private, and individualists. But we need to break out of that and let it be known, because also a lot of gun people are EMTs, volunteer this, volunteer that, coach here. Like, look at all the different things that people in this audience actually do in their communities. It's like, but you keep quiet about some stuff. Don't let it be known how awesome you are and what you do and what you watch and what helps educate you in this. That's all.
That's
I'll
awesome.
stop.
That's an awesome point. I'm going to say it's awesome because of all the things you just said, and I was just thinking about this the other day too. That when I was thinking about how the gun shops are changing and have changed in Tucson, one of the things that I'd loved to do is go to gun shops my whole life. So when I started doing the internet, I really enjoyed sharing the gun shops on the internet. And it was Tucson gun shops and some other gun shops when I'd gone road trips and stuff. But then I noticed that over time, because I probably started this in like the late 90s and then got into the 2000s doing this. But by the time 2017, kind of time happens, every once in a while you got to rebuild a website or whatever. I'm in there rebuilding or doing something, and I'm noticing these shops are different. Like I was just saying, like the shops have, gotten, even if they're the same building, they're new owners. Like the shops have all turned over or just completely gone, and new shops have come and gone. But anyway, it's like that with activism as well. And what I was following through there, my website ended up being is now a history of gun shops in Tucson. Since I bet you there's only 2 or 3 gun shops that still exist that are in my list of 26
Wow.
gun shops in Tucson. Like it's 26 gun shops of the past. I would have to go through, and to update the website, I have to go visit all these new gun shops and get pictures and stuff, visit all the people and meet them and that kind of thing. But think about that with activism too. And as I was just kind of reminiscing about the state of 2A activism in general, you could also go back and try to look through maybe YouTube channels of people who are or have been activists, mostly people that have been activists, because there's more people who once were and have been activists than there are people who are currently activists. That's just the nature of it.
Hmm.
So if you go back and look, you'll find, and again, if the like one pretty soon the robots will just be able to do this for us. They're pretty close to this already. But you'll be able to say, instead of Professor Yamane just coming up with the this is to gun culture 2.0, you could say to the robots, go figure out what gun culture we're actually in. And as they go to do that discovery, they'll find that there's been waves, and they start in like the 1870s when the NRA was invented, and then
Mm-hmm.
the 68 Gun Control Act, and there were consequences of that, and there's been these waves. So anyway, most recently, we talk all the time about how so many organizations kind of started in 15 for different reasons, and then most of them are still here, but not all, and some have come and gone for sure. And anyway, anyone, what Tony was just saying, like, let people know what you're doing is critically important, because as time goes by, what you're doing today is super important. You're spending all your time on it, and you're sharing it, hopefully. But a lot of people just are passionately interested in what they're doing, and it's all happening in emails, and it's happening maybe in a social media post here and there, but there's no like active interest in documenting it, so nothing gets archived. And now it's 3 years, 5 years down in the future, and you're like, I know things were accomplished back in 2025, but nobody wrote nothing down. Nobody bragged about it. Nobody wrote nothing for us to learn in 2030. So we're writing the fucking book, and that's not necessary. By just like doing what Tony said, just let people know what you're fucking doing as you're doing it. You're inspiring people today, but you're educating people in the future, or you're maybe inspiring a lot more people in the future. But we're certainly making it so that we're not rewriting the book. We're not rebuilding the mousetraps, and we're on the right side, so we don't need to do this shit behind closed doors. Like, there's a value to doing all this stuff transparently, open source, so that others can see, like, we got no interest in doing this this isn't proprietary, we're not doing this for profit, this is for the good of all, and here's why. So there's a lot of value. I was just going to add to whatever Tony was saying, in tooting your own horn. I don't know if that's summarizing it too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even. Fuck. Yeah, because that's why I said it makes you sound like it. Look, I'm humble for the most part, and when I'm not, I usually joke about it. Look, it takes a certain amount of narcissism to think you should be on 4 or 5 dang podcasts at sometimes a week. But I do recognize that I'm here because of the work other people have done before me, done with me, and that help motivate me. Like I'm not doing this in a vacuum. But letting people know what you're doing isn't bragging. It's just making them aware of it, especially when it's activism, when we need to get people joining. Yeah, I don't need to see your soup and your sandwich that you eat every day. That's one level of annoying. that's one.
I feel
That's one
personally
level of annoying. That's all right. It's not like I didn't post food yesterday, but that's one thing. But when you're doing the activism thing, you're trying to also at the same time recruit people, bring them in, get them motivated to do the same thing. Even though we might not even notice that or go, who's looking at me? You don't know who's looking at you. And again, all of a sudden somebody might be comfortable you having that conversation, just like I said, that they've had a change of mind and you know them. You just didn't know they changed their mind. that that blue haired whatever just got stalked for the first time and she's scared and she's heard you because you post up things like be your own first responder. You're responsible for your own safety and security. It's not the government's job to protect you as an individual. Like when you post things like that, that person might see them and didn't even click in their mind until it affected their lives personally. That can happen. So put stuff out there. You're not bragging. And if you don't want to post pictures of your guns, don't. I get it. Some people, hey, not today, ATF. I get it. But you can still post stuff from Women for Gun Rights. You can still post FPC or especially promote your own state Second Amendment organizations because many gun owners in your state don't even know it. And places like New Jersey, we need all the help we can get. So if you want to donate to CNJFO, which is one of our groups that actually works with me and most of my volunteers, do it. We'll take money from out of state too. Join. Be an out of state joiner. Help us fight the fight. I think it's like $35 a year. I think it's like 100 or 300 for a lifetime. Whatever it takes, you can actually promote good just by putting it out there on social media, other people, hell, make it an adventure and see if you can do one person a day or one organization a day that's doing some good. See how long you can keep that up. Just help in any way you can. We all appreciate it. There's multiple ways to fight this fight and grow the community.
Got a couple of super chats. Thanks for that. Do appreciate it. That makes my YouTube, if I'm lucky, brings in like $100, so that'll change it to actual money. So that's much appreciated, and that just
Yep.
means that, like, I won't have to pay for my super chats type of thing because I end up super chatting more than I end up bringing in usually. So
Oh,
I do
really?
appreciate them. Yeah, now I do.
That's fun.
I've got the the money coming in that I can throw it back out to people. Like, I like to give memberships when I can. It's just fun because it happens
Nice.
randomly. Not everybody has them, so sometimes a super chat or something, but when they have them. But anyhow,
So,
but I do appreciate it. Thanks for those. There's
yeah,
something else I was
I'm
going to.
looking up what you said about gun cultures and how many different ones we have, and
Uh,
it's hilarious because the way this is like gun culture one is hunting, gun culture recreational sports shooting, that's 1.0. Gun culture 2.0 is self defense, 3.0 is Second Amendment advocacy. That's how this AI overview has when I wrote how many different gun cultures are there. It broke it down that way. But me, I personally punched in because I look at it as, when has it been popular in this country? And it's like when we talked about the NRA and the founder of NRA, and I went, well, shooting competition, Creedmoor, which came from Creedmoor, New York, was where the NRA had this shooting competition in 1873. And shooting was popular because that shooting competition went hand in hand with one that was happening in Ireland. So yeah, we've had this popularity of firearms fluctuate throughout our entire history. This ain't the first rodeo.
well,
This ain't the fifth.
I look
Hmm?
at it as one of my favorite things when we first started this podcast. We started to get into this stuff, and that was one of the things not this podcast, but the Daily Gun Show podcast, I guess you should say.
Hmm.
In the day, I remember doing this, but I like to do research back in the day, so I was happy to be able to do a little bit of research or whatever. But I was researching museums, and I stumbled across this when I started researching a couple of the museums on the East Coast that were focused on guns from the Revolution. And I know,
Hmm.
but my eyes roll because they all look the same to me. Like, literally, all those
Hmm.
guns look boring and the same to me. Well, when you think about it, and I never thought about it like this, it was described as this country was a bunch of, what do they call them, settlements or something from like England
Hmm.
and Dutch, I don't know, fucking all the countries that came over here and made those 13 colonies. Those were pretty much all from different countries and shit. So the Germans had more of a, like a shotgun-ish type of a gun, and the English had more of a long-range type of gun, and this and that. So everybody had their own guns. So there was 13 colonies, and they were also way the fuck over here trying to figure shit out with loose parts and things they had left over, and now they're building their own stuff, and now they got their own industry. So from the fucking get-go, this country has been a melting pot of stuff, religions, people, cultures, and guns. So our guns, the reason we won the fucking Revolutionary War is because England had guns that their bullets, they got 16 bullets out of a pound or something, and we got like 35 bullets out of a pound. So if they're carrying around a pound of lead, they're going to shoot what, 16 times? We're going to shoot 35
Hmm.
fucking times. Their guns could shoot like across a football field. Our guns could shoot across 3 football fields accurately. I don't know. I'm just making shit up, but like that's the
Yeah, but yeah.
realistic. Our guns, like our gun culture, started before we were a fucking country. That's gun
Yep.
culture one, is when we started to melt our guns together. Gun culture two is when they tried to take our fucking gunpowder and we said, how about no? And then gun culture three would be when we started going, should we have an army? Like, I don't know what three would be, but that's what I'm saying gun culture one and two are. Because our fucking country
Hmm.
started from this whole idea of like, we don't need to have just England or just Germany
Oh,
like back in the olden days. Like, we don't answer to no queen or no church no more. So we don't care who we're marrying and who we're interbreeding with and all the fucking other shit that they didn't like. And in fact, people came here because they got sick of that fucking controlling shit. So the same thing with our tech. And that's why we've dominated tech, is because we've never been rigid with like, oh, we can't do that because it's immoral. We can't do that because the queen didn't say we can yet or whatever. Right? Like we just
Um,
said that made money, so we're doing it. And I'm not saying that's brilliant. Sometimes it sucks, but that's why we who we are, and that's why I think we have gun culture 17 or something right now. We've had a lot of gun
hey,
culture.
before I forget, and speaking about gun culture, I stumbled across Dead Warrior Society, Single Warrior, Dead Warrior Society. He only has 4,500 subscribers, 23 videos out. He's talking about Rogers Rangers being special forces because I'm assuming he's former special forces dude. But he's talking about Rogers Rangers, and he breaks it down into multiple videos talking about Rogers Rangers and how individuals arm themselves, what they used, how they went about it, his personality. I mean, it's pretty much what is it? It's like Team House, but Team House 17, like 50. You know
Fuck.
what I
Okay.
mean,
All right. I already like it. Yeah,
bro?
I'm subscribing.
Yeah, dude. It breaks it down because he breaks it way down into the person, the individual, and how he grew as a person, how he put stuff together, the reaction to it, going on a raid, and what a raid was like, and how that ties in today to small unit tactics. Because if you don't, I mean, you know, but others don't know. The Rangers today still uses Roger Ranger's rule, this guy's rules about that he used to attack the French and Indians during the French and Indian War before there was America. Like they still use his principles and rules today. Like actually it was printed on cards when I was in, and I know about it because again I was in junior ROTC, and I was there at the beginning of the reestablishment of light infantry units. So they were pushing light infantry and those kind of principles in the big army in the mid to late 80s. So that was still principles being used, and it's pretty cool if you're a history geek, and also you learn how they ran raids back then. And I mean, this dude went on 100-mile one way trek with five dudes, like like that kind of stuff. It was badassery, and I thought it was something interesting. I was actually playing it as background stuff at work. Plus, we had a lot of codes we couldn't go in because every freaking 30 minutes, some a-hole would either try to kill himself or set a cell on fire.
I was watching. Oh, I just watched a movie. I was watching something, and they told me about a thing, and I went and watched it. It was Go Tell the Spartans. Posted
Mm-hmm.
about, and it's the movie about the first what would you call them? Observers and what do they call them? They had another name for them, but observers in Vietnam. It's like after the French were just leaving, and
Mm-hmm.
I, I think I'm trying to. I don't remember it's 100% or anything, but I think as the French were leaving, the communists were coming in, and that's when we were all like, "Oh shit!" Like this isn't
Mm-hmm.
like we're just sitting here minding our business watching this, but um, as the French are leaving, the communists are just coming in and taking all the I don't know towns or forts or whatever the fuck they were. So I guess we
Mm-hmm.
sent in observers and that's the word I'm thinking of. Just
Advisors.
advisors. Thank you. And it was those first
Mm-hmm.
advisors, and they weren't Max Ogby or nothing. They were some strange patch I'd never seen before. But anyway, they were the beginning of our touching into Vietnam, and sort of like the just amount of shit they had to deal with without actually being able to have anything to do anything with, and the frustration of all that and war and all that. But anyway, that made me think of some of these movies, and I went and watched a couple of them that were like origin stories, Devil's Brigade and shit like that, like origin stories of the
Mm-hmm.
operations and all that. But you're right, there's either war of attrition where you have lines of soldiers and you just fucking say fuck it and you throw your soldiers at each other and just watch them pile dead bodies at each other, or you have unconventional, and there's only so many unconventional types of warfare. So yeah, it's very when it all goes back down to it, like people in the fucking bushes with rocks figured this shit out a long time ago, right? Like there's only so many ways to somebody's got the high ground to get them, or to somebody's got a cave to get them.
Yeah, it was the first one. The patch is weird. It was the Military Assistance Advisory Group. That was
Yep.
the first
And
one in
it's just a
Vietnam.
kind of a plover with a bunch of dots in it or something. And I'm like, oh, there's an idea. Give them gray or green uniforms with a big fucking white spotch on their fucking arm.
Yeah, it was called the patch. It had like a ranger scroll, and it said MAAG dash Vietnam, and then the freaking badge was like a bunch of freaking stars. It's like, really, bro?
And white, yeah. Like, come on, what are you thinking?
It's like, really? Who came
But it
up with
might have
this?
been something like almost like a medic wearing a big cross. You know, it might have been something like, "Don't shoot us. We're non-combatants" or something. They didn't really get into it in the movie. It was more of just whatever, just a movie. Really, it was not even. I'm not going to recommend it. It was an okay movie, but it wasn't all that awesome. I like Devil's Brigade better. That's the one with
Yeah,
NSSF. No, that's NSSF. The Special Service for S.
yeah. Special Service Corps. It was with the Canadians and us, right?
Yeah, our
Yeah,
criminals, they're top elite. We mixed them together, and it turned out to become the Green Berets, essentially. Well, the OSS and the
yeah, yeah. So that's what. Yeah, that's how the Green Berets. Because see, the army is really they throw away their own history. Like they don't have direct lines with stuff. Marine Corps does, and they're like, "Oh, Marines are what do you call it? Brainwashed." And it was like, "No, dude, we understand." To make you feel special, you have to know there were special dudes before you and draw a straight line between them and you. That is why we have the blood stripe that goes back to the Mexican American War. That's why we have the Mameluke sword that goes back to Lieutenant Presley O'Brandon invading Tripoli. Like we have those items as part of our uniform to tie you directly to the history, but the Army will get rid of a unit immediately and forget about them for freaking 50 years and then bring them back and then do stupid stuff like issue berets to everyone when you ban people from wearing it when they were green berets. And the only
yeah.
reason green berets have a green beret is because President Kennedy was like, "Yeah, it's cool. You guys can wear that." Like that wasn't even official. Kennedy said they could do it, so they put them on their heads and went to Vietnam with them. And then all of a sudden, the army hated them. The army hated them, tried to shut it down. And then through peer pressure and the fact that the French used them, the British used them for their elite organizations, and then all of a sudden the Green Berets were able to use them. Then the Rangers was like, we want to use them, and then the Airborne got to use them. And then the
Well,
army
that's what I
had
was
some
going to
kind
say. It was pretty much it was like a universal worldwide
of
that Airborne was wearing them. So it
yeah,
makes sense that Rangers would get them, I think.
yeah. But then all of a sudden the army had a heat stroke and went, hey, you know what? We could spread that around to everyone. They were like, yeah, you guys get to raise now, everybody in the army, because now you're all special.
Dude, I don't
And they
think.
forgot one.
I mean,
Go ahead.
there's nobody that's going to suggest they never make they're infallible, and that's like the new Coke, right? That's one of the like major
Yeah.
examples of like the fuck were they thinking type of movie.
It's like, what are you doing? It was like you hated it for half a century, and now you went, everybody can have one because it's awesome and it's special. Well, not if everybody has one, you clown. Who are you people? How do they promote you to generals?
How many days did it take you to go 100 miles? I'd assume you had 30 to 40 pounds of gear. Back when I was young,
Oh,
I could do 40
yeah.
miles a day. I've done 40 miles a day a couple of times. So 100 miles would take me, I guess, 3 days ish. You know, like 2 days for hauling ass, maybe, but I don't think so. Probably 3 days.
Yeah, well, if we're talking about what I was just talking about with Roberts Rangers, that was 100 miles using canoes and walking through places that didn't have roads. So, and you're walking not through woods as we see them today, but pretty much some version forest in America, which we don't even have that concept anymore, especially on the East Coast.
Because everybody doesn't think about when you're, well, I mean, maybe if you've just gone out fucking hunting or something, but unless, or maybe looking for some dog or something, like you don't realize that a road, you're going down a road. Like, that you don't have to think about what's over the horizon because there's already a fucking road there. Like, it's already probably the
Hmm.
shortest route and it's already a road. But how many times when you're walking in the middle of nowhere do you are like, fuck, and I got to walk all the way back there because there's a cliff here or a pond or whatever else, cliff, cliff going one way or the other way, up or down, where you got to walk all the way back and you didn't know because there's no road. You didn't know. So yeah, it takes you forever to get somewhere if you're not, if it's bush, what's that called? Bush.
Walking through, like, yeah, uh, Unbroken Bush or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he pulled this off, and it's just amazing because they did it on strength of character back then. You know what I mean? Like these dudes follow you because you've proved to them that you're worth following. And when you listen to this guy, because again, he's former Special Forces, former Ranger, and I think he's former Green Beret. Talking about this, he talks about operational tempo of what Rogers did. He would go on a 100-mile raid, come back 2 days in camp, resupply, go back out on. He says the operational tempo was ridiculous. The way he'd go out, do what they do, and come back to the point that he was getting so many details that his some of his superiors stopped, couldn't believe him. They were like, "Look, we have Native Americans we hired to go out there, and they're not seeing what you're seeing." And it was like, "Yeah, because they wouldn't go as far as he did." uh, and wouldn't do what he did. He snuck into a fort at night and then walked back out. like, like he did that. He slept in the moat around the fort because daylight was coming too quickly. So they laid down and just slept there and then waited for it to get dark again. Snuck in, saw what they saw, and left. Like you fell asleep in an enemy position, bro. Like that's crazy. Especially when it's not like you have rapid fire to break contact.
Yeah.
Like
Or
you're
like
shooting one.
cavalry coming for you, or radios, or anything like that. Right?
Yeah, anything. And when he get back with that really long raid I was telling you about, where he stayed overnight in the enemy position before he worked his way back, well, he left his boat because they traveled. That was pretty much the way they traveled was by boat. The dudes who were waiting, the two guys that he had wait, yeah, they left. They thought he got captured, so they split because they thought he was coming back in a day. He didn't come back until 3 days later, and those dudes were gone. So he had to walk back from where he was. So it's just it to read about the badassery that dude was again for us gun nuts, and then to realize he did it with probably 30 pounds of stuff, gunpowder, and the clothes on your back. And they also talked about their equipment. It's everything a gun nerd like us loves, or a nerd like us loves. It's in there.
Well, I think of those kind of days like I think of like Daniel Boone, same way. Maybe not fighting, but like, well, I guess he was fighting Indians once in a while, but he would mostly go out and like fight the elements, right? Like fight nature and bears and shit and the storms and that kind of shit. But anyway, they're like carrying around leather, wool, sticks, iron, maybe copper, but like nothing they
Mm,
fuck up is lightweight or comfortable. Like it's all just brutal.
yeah, just all brutal, nothing lightweight. There's no, there's nothing that wicks off moisture. Uh,
Just all
you're wearing
chafes.
some,
Get some more of
yeah.
a like
Uh,
scab or blister. Yeah.
but they were talking about the fact that they wore moccasins because they were easier to walk in. They were better to grip because again, you had no road, so you were stepping on and over logs. And using those hobnail boots was not a thing that you wanted to do. Plus, walking in water and damp with leather, that's just going to destroy the boots. So they had the moccasins. Also, those tricorn hats or whatever you call those crazy Revolutionary era hats. Yeah, they cut the sides off of that crap and they called them ranger caps. And it had a bill out front, pretty much like your ball cap does, to keep your eyes shaded, but it's not going to be wide on the side where it grabs everything as you walk through branches.
Yeah,
So,
they're
I mean,
so
it was
easy
just,
as a dumbass with a hat on every time you stick your head up.
yeah. And also, they had pretty much what we would call a do rag today. But in Vietnam, you saw this stuff in all the Vietnam movies when they had the green T-shirt or green bandana tied around their head, like they do rags. Pretty much same thing back then. Again, covers your head up, stop the flies from eating up your neck and ears. They had that then.
Sweat from dripping into your eyes.
Yeah, all of it, all of it. It just didn't have the bill. But again, because the forest was so thick, you didn't have that sun shining directly down on you until you were out in the open. Like think canopy Vietnam era, but in America, because we hadn't, of course, chopped down all the trees and deforested everything and built cities and roads. I mean, that's crazy to think the frontier was Virginia. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. The frontier. Where's it at?
Getting up, well, that's all
Virginia.
the Daniel Boone and shit, right? Is getting up and over that mountain, the Appalachian Mountains. It's
But
all they
yeah,
did is go across
yeah,
like what 30-minute drive or an hour drive or something from the coast to like those mountains, which
yeah,
that was like
yeah. He
a
discovered the
century.
he dis- he discovered the Cumberland Gap, and it's like, yeah, we can drive there at like 4 hours from my house. It's like, yeah, yeah. He walked. He walked. So Sharon, between this week and last week, I think got in over $1,500, um, which is really cool. If we can please put it out there again, you guys have the link, or you can put the link in the show in the notes over here for Sharon's Give Send Go. So it is making a difference. It's building slowly. Again, I didn't know about it until lately, so I've been posting it multiple times a week, and I have it pinned to the top of my X account. So if you want to just use that and share it that way, I appreciate it. Yep. Wow, the jeans and pantyhose days. Yep, Navy SEALs straight up. Jeans and pantyhose in Vietnam. Pantyhose to stop the leeches. Jeans because they wouldn't make the same noise as BDUs. They were quiet. So it is interesting though, because every generation again, and I'll go with the Army only because I was in junior ROTC. They didn't stress that stuff. That was stuff I knew about because I went back, and also I was blessed to have one of my NCO in junior ROTC. My senior NCO was a Vietnam era Green Beret, and that is the only reason we knew some of that history. And it's like, dude, you know how much of a disservice of you are of 200 years of Army badassery that you just leave alone because, well, people want to go to college. I'm like, yeah, that's why dudes join the Marine Corps is because they go, dude, Tarawa, Iwo Jima, you know what I mean? Like Leathernecks, World War One, Tufel. Like, you know about the exploits of the Marine Corps because we never shut the frig up about them and we make movies about it. The
Well, and
Army
there's so
drops off.
few Marines, dude. Like the Army is obviously the biggest, but like the dumb, like going into the Army is like I can't even. I mean, was it my first experience with bureaucracy? I think so. At least the first, obviously living in it.
Mm,
But you don't even. A lot of people don't even know what their job is going to be when they fucking sign their life. Their not their life, but
mm,
their well, whatever, their name on the line, and they go in, and it just kind of depends on people's circumstances. Definitely during the draft, all you did is not know shit, right? So in those days, they didn't know what
mm,
they were getting into. But nowadays, a lot of times people are like, I want to go to this college, or at least back in my day, people would go, I want to go to this college. So what can I do? And they might say, 3 years or 2 years in this and 4 years of reserve or something. And then you can go to this much college or something. And it was more like, okay, I want to go to that college. So what are my options? Well, you got these guard and reserve units in that state and this army unit. So this unit does this unit does that, and this unit does that. Pick, there's these jobs available. And you'd be surprised. Like there'll be a missile battery somewhere, but they need mechanics. Or like, here's a
mm-hmm,
super elite unit, but they need accountants. Or here's an accountant unit, but for some reason they need a fucking operator. Like, who knows? There's always some kind of weird, or maybe some kind of MP person that, bomb guy or something. So there's always weird stuff going on. So anyway, I think that's one of the things. In the army, I think they just assume that I just assume that the units keep track of their history in the army. They don't really bother with the army keeping track of everybody trying to remember it all because again, like there's just too much, and
mm.
they keep taking whittling pieces off the army, like the Air Force and shit came off the army. So I look at it to that a little bit too. That I don't know. There's just too much history there. I don't know. Navy's pretty tough. They're pretty big too. Air Force definitely has some history, but I don't know if they have much of a esprit de corps. Nobody competes with the Marines though. But there's also nobody does the jobs of the Marines. There's a couple of units that do what the Marines do, what the
Mm.
Marines are tasked with. But I mean, there's nothing about the job, at least from what I ever understood. The job of the Marines are like you go with the Navy and then they drop you off to get killed, or like to go do all the actual. But like, you know what I mean? Like there's, I mean, you can get shot, I guess, in the Navy. Like you can fall off a boat, but you're
Yeah, but
pretty
yeah,
comfortable compared to other people. You're not volunteering to hang out on a boat in the Marines, is what I'm saying. It might
So there
happen,
was an attack
but
on
you
a,
don't volunteer for that shit.
so in Afghanistan there was an attack on a Marine Corps air base. Um, and they came in with a team of what do you call it, Taliban, 15 of them trained to do whatever, or 17 of them, however many is they hit. Well, the Marine Corps general in charge had reduced the Marines on the outer perimeter from over 350 to 100. So there were holes in the perimeter. So where they hit it was where Marines weren't. And they were able to get on base. Well, it was a 4 hour firefight, 4.5 hour firefight. There was no reaction team of mother. There was a Marine Corps personnel on base that were, what do you call it? Mechanics. The mechanics working on the planes actually grabbed their rifles and started fighting back, and they wiped out the entire, all except one of the Taliban got killed. Two Marines got killed. That was it. Why? Because they push that whole esprit de corps. Your first job, regardless of what it is rifleman. So it wasn't crazy that you found yourself in a firefight as a Harrier freaking mechanic. You know what I mean? It was like, yep, we're doing this. I guess we're doing this, and it was just on. And it was a 4 hour fight, and of course, they prevailed. They destroyed. I think it was the Taliban destroyed like 7 or 8 Harriers. And it was like, oh, that was significant. That was what is it, the biggest destruction of infiltration of a base since Vietnam. Except, the next day the Marine Corps showed up with 14 new Harriers and a whole new squadron. So all you congratulations,
You bothered
you
the
made it.
largest air force, the largest air force, well, air power in the world. Like you bothered us for a
Yeah,
day.
yeah, you annoyed us, and it slowed it, and it changed our operational tempo for 36 hours. And now we're freaking. Hey, we weren't aware that we had. Well, I guess you knew, but you weren't aware that this weakness could be exploited, and it immediately changed everything. Congratulations, you did nothing, sir. Two Marine generals got to retire with full benefits because they were blamed. Two major generals got to sit at home with all their money.
Something about when you were saying that made me think of watching like the Black Sheep Squadron, and when you think about the Marines that would be tasked with basically taking the islands and then holding the islands, and back in World War II days, and like at least in Black Sheep, those dudes that would be the mechanics, same kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
if a Japanese either intentionally or unintentionally just showed up, guess who's fighting hand to hand that afternoon? Like unscheduled. Like stop working on that airplane or stop mixing whatever concrete you were doing. Start grabbing a carbine and start fighting or a flamethrower.
Immediately, yeah. And their air raid on the air raid on the base. Well, it's not just the machine gunners in the air. Everybody's shooting up in the air at these planes. Every round is going that way. And then after they're gone, the air raid is over. Go out and patch up the holes in the freaking
Quick,
runway.
because your
And
squadron's coming home. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like, yep, okay. Now let's go. Jump in the bulldozer. Uh,
That makes me
so
want to go
that was
watch.
the
I bet
Marine
some of
Corps.
those shows hold up. I haven't watched them in forever, but I bet you they hold up.
Yeah, it was always funny when people go, "What do your job in the Marine Corps?" And I was like, "Computer programmer." Oh, cool. So you're safe. Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm safe. Now I won't go to combat, but as a Marine, the chances of going to combat is never zero.
Well, exactly, because a Marine, whatever job it is probably
Hmm.
going to be either on the boat or someplace. But it kind of also depends when you're in. Like nobody was doing nothing when
Yep.
we were in. Like at least very, 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 very few people were doing anything that anyone was ever going to talk
Hmm.
about. Obviously, things happen that nobody talks about, nobody knows about. That's happening
Hmm.
throughout time, but not because that's again very rare, very few people. Not including that kind of shit. Most of us were just
Yeah.
trying to avoid downsizing. We either went in because we wanted money, or we wanted some skill set, or we wanted to go do something, or some version of all that. And they were chopping. Like all it was chop, 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 chop through the 80s and most the beginning of the 90s. So it was if you want to stay in, you better be relevant, or just get the fuck out and do something in the civilian world where you can make money.
Yeah, they 100%. I mean, because it's like I don't even talk about some of the stuff that happened when I was in. Um, we had the Filipino revolt happen, and we serviced planes that were actually participating in the fighting in the Philippines in 89, 90, 91. So there was active combat going on, but nobody talked about it. You might be able to find something about it on Wikipedia that it happened, but not the U.S. involvement. It's no more than a sentence or two.
Outcast is saying, to my understanding, every soldier's first job is to be a rifleman. I don't think so. Only because I
Nope.
knew when I can't remember where I was sitting and waiting for a doctor one time, waiting for sick call, or maybe waiting for a bus to get to sick call. But I remember waiting sometime at a bus stop type of thing, and talking to a guy from the band. And at least back then, it might change now. I don't know. I mean, the fucking band or whatever. But in that case, he went to basic because it was an abbreviated basic. But
Hmm.
basically, they needed people in the band, or they always need people in the band, probably. So
Yep.
if you feel like it and you can play an instrument, they'll just put you in, and you're never touching a fucking gun. I don't know. I mean, whatever you touch in basic, I guess, but the rest, aside from that, you're never fighting, is what I'm saying. So, like, there's got to be other jobs like that. Like, say, the army's huge, but I'm guessing doctors are maybe like that too. And I wouldn't be surprised
Hmm.
if there's some like other jobs that are important, computer jobs or technical jobs, where like, think of specialists. For us specialists, like
Yeah.
people that are technically good but they're not in leadership, I think there's going to be a lot of like technical jobs, although they have outsourced a lot of that shit. So I'm just talking shit, and my experience is very short time, a long time ago. But yeah, I'm saying they still go to basic, but like you said, it was an abbreviated basic. And at the time, I might have been interested enough to ask them. I can't remember if I was sick or not, but I do remember learning a lot from that guy. And I'm like, oh shit, there's like a whole. I just realized that there's a whole chunk of the army I didn't even know about, just because I never even cared about thinking about it. But I'm just saying those people never, and that's why there's super fat people in the army once in a while. Like I hardly ever see a fat Marine. If it is, it's a super old Marine or something, or a broken
Yeah.
Marine that's still around. But few out of shape Marines. There's a shit ton of fat Army dudes, and that's why, or fat Army people, because there's fat Army women too. But I'm betting it's because they're good at playing something in the band, or they know how to do something on a keyboard that nobody else can do, or they just want to do a job. Maybe, like I say, we got a lot of dumb jobs in the Army, so there could just
Yeah.
be
It's
a
freaking.
job he wants to do.
uh, Well, it's because it's so freaking huge, and also in the Marine Corps. And it's not, we're better. No, we're smaller. So, and this is what I was told by my partner, co-worker in the Corps. Um, my job as a computer programmer, right? Computer operator. It included everything from writing programs to printing out reports to doing backup. Everything you'd think, at least in my mind, would be the job, right? The job would come in, I'd receive the job, I'd break it down, I'd do the job, I'd break it into reports, I'd put it back out and let them know it was down when there was a problem. I'd take care of it if it was able to be done through software. And if it was a hardware thing, we had, our hardware guys, our techs. But he told me in the Air Force that was 7 different jobs because he was stationed in Okinawa and he actually went and saw their air base and was on one of their units and checked out the same people that did what we did. But it was like, that's 7 people.
I
Like
get
you're in
told,
your shift.
yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. So it's like, yeah, they got one person whose only job is to take in jobs. They have another person to write programs, another person to print them out and decorate them. And it's like, yeah, yeah, we do all that. So yeah, it's a culture thing. It's yeah, you're doing more than one thing. You're never doing just one thing. Again, not better, just different. I mean, the better stuff is us bragging and busting each other's chops just for fun.
So somebody had said something like the most crazy amount of topics or something in a show. Well, first off, it's almost 4 hours. So in four
Yeah,
hours, you're going to have a lot of topics. But I would say, yeah, we definitely, I mean, it's not like we intentionally did, but we definitely ran into some different corners of Topicville out there. So thanks for everybody for pointing us in some directions or whatever. But we should end it at some point here. I know you got other things to do.
yeah,
Have tried to end it a couple of
yep.
times. Now we started bullshitting again. But
Yeah, let's
you
bail.
back next week? Are you around next week?
Yeah, because I'm not going to train and learn. I'm taking that money and starting a charitable organization.
I knew something was coming up, and I think that I'll probably be here, but there's a percent chance not. But more than likely, we'll be back here next week. We did want to mention again that Brooke Cheney does her mental health awareness show every Saturday. Totally worth uh, checking out. She usually spends 20 minutes to half an hour on some topic. And the idea there is just to get more comfortable talking about mental health, more comfortable and more able to talk about suicide prevention, since they're the number one cause of gun deaths, which are used, the number of gun deaths are used against us. It's just a real valuable resource to be able to have that comfortable conversation with people on our side and the other side. So Brooke is doing an amazing effort with that. We are going to link to it with this show. When this show ends, you'll be linked over to her show. It won't start for another couple hours, but again, when we mentioned before, linking is such a powerful ability we have on the internet. So please take the option to link to some of the stuff we've talked about. Thanks to DJ for throwing those links up on the screen. But really, those are just in the comments, and I don't shut the comments down. So feel free to just grab those comments from DJ's posts and share them. It really does help everybody out. We'll see you next week. Oh, I should have been better in having this ready to go.